I mean, disc golf is like golf where the lowest score is the winner, right? So doesn't that mean technically I won?
Because you're confusing lowest and worst.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh.
correct.
Oh, all right.
No.
What do I know?
Let's try.
Right.
Hey guys, Alex Russell here from Washington State, and you are listening to Unstable Discourse. Welcome.
It's 106 miles to Unstable Discourse. We got a full tank of Ryan, half a pack of Alex. It's Sean, and we're wearing sunglasses.
Hit it.
Bienvenidos. Episodio 13 de Unstable Discourse.
Oh, man.
Change it up.
Nice.
Well
Change it
Well
up.
done.
Nice.
All right, guys, welcome in. We're doing it. Episode 13. This one is called Don't Do the Crime If You Can't Do the Time.
That's right.
We
is
are
correct.
we are
catchy.
joined by a very cool guest today.
Yeah, okay. Sure.
This is
He's
Ryan's
pretty
thing.
cool. He's
Ryan likes to shit on all the guests.
Well, now I feel comfortable.
Good.
Yes.
So we're joined by Mark Grabavoy, and we're going to get into what Mark has been up to and what makes him such a cool guest. But the way we usually start this is we're here with Ryan Fancher of Unstable Disc Golf Gear,
Uh-huh.
Sean Callahan of Delwood Disc Golf.
Dow.
Is that exactly what
That's what
Jason
Jason did last week.
That is what you, I was going to do yours from last week.
You guys are just going to be stealing each other's intros. Moving on.
Oh, that was good.
Okay.
I
We're also
understand.
joined by Jason, a bag of tricks.
Happy birthday, Sean.
Hey, thank you,
Oh my
brother.
God, that's
Thank you.
correct.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Sean. How old are you now?
26.
37.
37?
37.
Legit 37?
Legit 37.
Good for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
For the record, I'm 32. Jason?
41.
Mark?
You really want to know?
Of course.
Yes. I'm 60.
No, you're not. Jeez, dude. You're
Wow.
killing it.
Yeah.
You look great,
Wow.
dude.
60.
Shit.
Yeah.
60. Damn. That's I'm amazed.
Yeah.
Ryan?
I'm 40.
Lots of experience here.
Yeah.
All right. So the name of the episode again is Don't Do the Crime If You Can't Do the Time. We're going to be covering the history of the Inparcerated event, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with. We're going to be talking about the Joliet Prison Putting League and the course that Mark has been designing. It's like right behind the prison, right? Or what's
East of it.
So it's near the prison.
It's actually part of prison property. It's the territory east of Lewis Ray Parkway.
Okay. So it's right over there.
It's right over there. Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to get into that and a whole lot of other stuff as we do. So you guys know how we start this off. It starts with Fired Up.
Fired up.
Ryan, take us away.
My fired up is the fact that we just booked a hotel room for the four of us to actually go down to Ledgestone. We've been talking about doing it, and we've been saying that we were going to, and then we had not,
We committed.
and then we committed. And so we're going. We're going Saturday. We're staying Saturday night. We're going Sunday. It's going to be a thing.
We knew the whole time that we wanted to go, and there was like a
Right.
couple options, and I don't know how much you guys are aware, like the schedules of the lives of everybody that does the show. They're hectic schedules. And
Indeed.
even when you have things that you are super excited to do, like this trip, or there's certain tournaments, there's like all these things that we wish, like we want to do. It's just like you only have so much bandwidth, so sometimes things have to get put aside.
Yep.
But yeah, finally we pulled the trigger, we committed, we're going. Super excited. We're gonna be like sleepover style, sharing one room, all four of us. Is there bunk beds in that room, by the way?
God, I hope so. Can we request that?
Yeah. Well, there should be. So there's
ma'am.
more room
I'd
for
like
We can do a
activities.
bunk
Step
beds.
Yeah, I
Brothers.
was going to say we can make
Yes.
them bunk beds.
Step
That way there's
Brothers
more room for
style.
activity.
Just
Yeah.
like
Just some
hammer
duct
them
tape.
together.
Yeah, no problem.
Activities, all of it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Oh, I'm fired up about that too.
Yeah.
Sean, what
Yeah.
are you fired up about?
I am fired up about my amazing wife, Sheila Callahan, has been doing so many things for DDG lately that has been giving me all the time to focus on the events, like getting everything ready for J-Town Championships, which is in 2 days, and Inparcerated 3, which goes live tomorrow. There's so much that she's been doing and making possible so that I can focus on all these events that we have going on. So
Just
I am fired up about my amazing wife, and she made my birthday awesome, and I love her, and she rules.
Oh,
she does.
yeah.
She was just doing exactly what you were talking about, helping out just now.
It's
Camera
just the way
work,
that she is, yeah.
as we were live streaming our long drive challenge.
She will just jump in and
I
just
wouldn't
be
call it
like,
a long
okay.
drive challenge.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
should rename that thing.
Yeah. The less than mediocre drive.
The upshot
Yeah.
challenge.
Yeah. The shot league, dude.
At least Jason made it 100 feet.
He
challenge.
did.
Yes, he
Yeah.
did.
The past the
Yeah.
first tree challenge.
Yeah.
Triple
That's the
digits,
first
buddy.
tree challenge.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Jason, what are you fired up about, man?
The fact that I made it past the first tree.
Yeah.
That was literally all I had
You
going on
didn't
this
think that was going to happen, yeah.
week. I thought for sure that was not going to happen. I made it at
Were
least
you
100
having
feet.
some
Did you
real
throw right hand, forehand?
I threw
You-
right
yeah.
hand, forehand.
He did.
And you threw it pretty flat.
He threw
Was
it
it
actually.
flat?
He
Yeah.
gave it a
Alright.
little bit of an S, actually.
Yeah.
Which was the only
Maybe
reason it
you
got
might
to
have
100.
some.
Got to 100?
Yeah.
Did you have some like real anxiety before that throw?
I considered turning and just running back to my car. Yeah.
The reason I ask is because
sports freak me out.
well, no, I know that your left arm is seriously injured right now, and I know it's
is.
killing you. And you were so close to actually driving with that arm, anyways. Because
I was
of-
going to attempt it. Yeah,
You were-
that was
you
probably
just didn't
a
want to be
pretty bad idea.
embarrassed.
Yeah.
I was like, it is going to break off of his
Yeah,
the
that would've
socket.
been
So
It's just
that
gonna-
is the other thing that I'm fired up about is I officially know what's wrong with my shoulder. It's called frozen shoulder.
It's not
It's-
AIDS.
It's not AIDS. I thought I
Okay,
had
good.
shoulder AIDS for a
All
minute.
Whew.
Very
Thank God.
specific
Close
AIDS. Yeah,
We're all clear.
I'm working with the doctor to get it remedied. Unfortunately, it takes about 2 years to get remedied. but,
Whoa.
yeah.
Oh, cool. Do you have
Yeah.
that much time?
Yeah, I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm 41. That's true. I could be dead next week.
Wait, for how long
with a
has
frozen
this
shoulder.
been going on?
About 2 months.
Oh,
Yeah.
you got a
It-
ways to go.
Yeah. So it started 2 years ago with just some tendonitis in my shoulder.
Sure.
And I am like super stubborn when it comes to taking care of myself. I was
No
like,
kidding.
it'll
Huh.
go away on its own.
Right.
And of course it never does.
Hmm.
And the tendonitis led to this frozen shoulder
It
that I
never does.
I have now. But hopefully soon.
Yeah,
I got
man.
a little movement back. And
Are
I've
there
been to
any
the chiropractor 5 times and I got some movement back.
Are there any activities aside from your job that you've had to like restrict, like from your normal routine?
So a big part, apart from my job.
Are there any like?
Oh, it took me a second. No,
He's
you know,
saying
you want to
it-
know? You want
he's
to know
saying
what's
it, and I'm
weird?
just looking
It
at
could
like,
be
what?
I see the
anything.
smile now.
It could be anything.
I'm a righty with that. How bizarre is that? Yeah, totally. I've tried it with my. I'm
God.
left-handed. I've tried it with my dominant hand. Nope.
What are you talking about, Jason?
What you know I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Brushing my
Brushing
teeth.
my teeth.
Yeah,
You're
of course.
disgusting.
You guys get your mind out of the gutter.
Of course.
Yeah, I'm a switch hitter. I don't know why, but I am.
Good for
Brushing
you.
his teeth.
Brushing his teeth.
That reminds me of that old thing that you can do called the Stranger.
Mhm.
You guys familiar with the Stranger?
Well, he's very familiar with the stranger now because he's been using the right
Yeah,
hand.
it's like
Yeah.
normal part of your routine.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
almost like a threesome every time now. It's a weird
is
brushing
great.
teeth
This is
episode.
awesome.
Hey, Mark,
Let's
what are
leave
you
that-
fired up about?
Yeah, Mark, what are you fired up about?
Which arm do you use to brush your teeth?
I don't know how to follow that. I am fired up, stoked about something that happened last week. I was out on the course. It was getting dark, and I think I saw a light at the end of this really long 2-year torturous tunnel. And it was the first time it occurred to me. I was like, wow.
Okay.
I don't know what it means, but I'm
what is
telling
it?
you, I saw a light.
You need to give us a little more context on that.
Yeah, my God.
Well, I think I hit a point, I don't know exactly when, where I'm actually way past way done.
You're past halfway done with the course.
Yeah. I mean, I think I'm way past.
Awesome.
And it kind of was the first realization that I was like, no, this is really going to happen. This is really,
This is the first time
this
you
is
thought
really
that?
valid. No, I walk the course by myself all the time. You know, when I dig into a hole for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, you need a change of pace. So what I do is grab a beer and I literally walk the course,
Sure.
hole one,
Try and get
whatever.
like a fresh perspective.
And
on
I
it.
never really occurred to me like, hey, I'm almost there. But the other day I was like,
Yeah.
Dude,
oh,
that's
yeah.
awesome.
It's one of those moments. I've had a lot of moments. It gives me
Yeah.
chills, actually.
I can
And
tell
so-
there's a totally different vibe about the way that you speak about it lately that I can definitely see that it is on the other half of.
It's on the other half.
Yeah.
Yeah. Significantly.
Ooh.
I mean, there's, it goes in phases. I think you know what I'm talking about. And
Sure.
these phases are, there's 100 of them, but in general, there's 4, 5, 6 big phases. And it's like, yeah, okay. It's happening. Yeah, it's really cool.
I want to ask you 5,000 questions about all that, and I'm sure the listeners are dying to know more, but we'll get to that eventually. For now, I'll say I'm fired up about like 10 things right now. I don't want to talk about all of them and take up all the time, but I'll try and just go through them quickly. One, I had a doctor's appointment last week where I had a brand new doctor, and she was like, "You got to get your shit together." And she straight up said, "I'll bust your shit if the next time you come back in and your test results don't look better." So that really lit a fire under my ass. So I've quit smoking cigarettes. I'm trying to eat healthier.
Good job.
I'm taking some vitamins. I'm taking fish oil, and I'm just generally feeling good. Like every day since that appointment, I've woken up like, I'm going to kick today's ass.
That's great.
Yeah.
That feels great.
Can I ask you real quick about the fish oil?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I considered. No, I'm being serious. I considered it.
I
years
never
ago.
know with you.
Yeah, I know. That's good. I want to keep it that way.
I was like, wait, what's the punchline? dude?
Yeah, no, there isn't one.
Where are we going?
How do you feel about the fish oil? Because I know it's supposed to like help your like focus.
Yeah.
Do you feel more focused?
Well, let me put it this way. I got 4 hours of sleep last night, but I feel better than I usually would have today with taking my fish oil, my vitamins, eating decently. I still feel more energized than I would have a week ago with getting, a full 8 hours. And I feel more focused as well.
Yeah.
Good.
And a little tip from my doctor was to put the fish oil in the freezer so that you don't get like a smell. that comes out or
Like
something.
the fishy verps.
Yeah.
I heard that was one of the side effects. Put them in the freezer, huh?
I'm going to move along, though. I've got other things I'm fired up about. I just received in the mail today my new camera that I ordered and the gimbal that I ordered, so I can
Yes.
start taking my video game to another level. Everything I've done up to
You're
this
just
point.
going to play video games.
Yeah. What is the name of your video game?
Seminary Brothers.
Whoops.
Yeah.
Well, I got a Sony A6400, which is not like the most cutting edge thing, but it's like a good entry point if you're trying to get more serious about video. And a DJI Ronin gimbal. So the stuff I've done up to this point has always been with a phone and like a really cheap like phone gimbal. And I'm like pretty proud with some of the stuff I've done with like the
Yeah,
bare
oh,
Oh, yeah,
bones.
it's been great.
Yeah.
So now I'm excited about using real tools, real software, and trying to make really cinematic things. So I'm excited to start practicing all that. Man, I'm excited about a lot of things right now. My mind is like all over the place. So that's enough for now. Those are two pretty awesome things. So
Yes.
fired up in general. Also, I got my last one.
I had a fish oil thought.
Yeah.
The company that I have been working for up to this for the last month, it was a temp to permanent position. So they were paying me hourly, and they were saying, as long as you perform at the end of the month, we'll make you a permanent position. So I was kind of sweating that. And then I had the meeting earlier this week, and they were like, we're going to make you a part of the team. So officially, I am
Whoa.
Nice.
full-time job
Congratulations.
again.
Nice.
They went from
Super
Ryan to
excited.
Jim. That's exciting.
Yeah.
Did you get voted
Ryan to
hottest
Jim.
in the company before you made the switch to Jim? Or?
No, not before, but now that I am, I've had a couple like sales come in really like early on, which is rare for this kind of thing, supposedly.
Uh-huh.
So I'm looking more talented than I probably actually am. So I feel pretty good about it.
I think that's
it's
part.
a lot. It's a lot.
That's
of good
half
stuff.
the gig is just faking it until you make it.
Yeah.
Dude.
So,
It's so true.
Yeah.
That's all my fired up.
Yeah. Are you done?
I'm done.
Okay.
Those
Probably.
a great amount of fired up.
All right, so let's move along. Now, from here, we go into the trivia portion. No, it's not the trivia portion of the night. but
No, not yet.
it's the recap of trivia.
It's the
Recap of the trivia portion of the
night. Yes.
Perfect.
Yes.
We had an interesting situation this week. We actually had to change our recording day. So usually we record on Friday nights, and we had to change it to Thursday because I'm going out of town, and everybody was like really flexible and cool and said, yeah, let's record on Thursday. And so we had a guest lined up. They were not able to change
Yeah.
their schedule.
Unfortunately, yeah.
Yeah, so
Mhm.
then we had to pivot there, get a new guest. It threw everything into a mess. So we, while things got kind of topsy-turvy with our scheduling, we forgot to make our post for both the mailbag and our trivia post so we can get your guesses. We put a mailbag post up an hour before the show, and you guys are awesome because we got a bunch of awesome
Came
questions.
through.
Yeah.
Like quickly, awesome
Yeah.
questions. So
Mhm.
I'm excited about that. But then the way we had to do our trivia thing, the plan was all four of us were going to do a long drive competition, a challenge, we'll say.
Mhm.
We're going to add the total distances from all four of our drives. Since we didn't get that post out ahead of time, we basically still went live and we all went out and did our throws. We're still going to be able, everybody's going to still be able to participate. But long story short, we had to pivot and make a sort of last minute call, but it's working out just fine. So
Mhm.
we don't have any guesses to share from that challenge, but we can talk
That's
about it
okay.
because no one's going to hear this until
Nope.
Yeah.
So we
That
might
is
as well
exactly
talk
right.
about it.
This
Yeah,
is
we
a
can use
time
when the time
traveling
comes.
conversation.
We can use social media in order to have the conversation around trivia. With
But
that
I mean,
being
we
said,
can say the results of the
we
contest
absolutely
right
can
now.
sure.
right now. Yeah.
We don't want to.
Yeah, and I don't think
Nobody
anybody's very
wants
proud
to.
of it.
No.
No.
I'll let one of you guys do that. I don't want I don't want to talk about it.
So yeah.
I will say everybody's distance is that way. You guys don't have to.
Okay,
Go with
great.
that.
Perfect.
Sure.
So mine was the shortest, obviously. I, thank God, cleared 100. I got 107.
I'm very
That's
proud
all
of
I
you.
wanted to do.
So proud.
But that's a
To
big
beat
deal
three did it.
because you're injured. You're not a disc golfer. You're using your non-dominant arm, and there was
Forehand,
pressure.
no less.
And a forehand.
Righty
Forehand.
forehand. no
And there was
less.
an audience. So
in
yeah,
flip
pressure.
flops.
Yeah,
With like
in
20
flip-flops.
people watching.
yeah.
Yeah.
There was that
stellar.
too.
you
Yeah.
must have got an extra
Pretty
boost of power
solid.
from your unstable discourse polo.
It must have been that.
Yes.
I can think of nothing else other than
Correct.
that might have helped.
Yep.
Then Ryan got the
Oh.
next highest. He landed at 272.
Hyzered out into the boonies.
It was a little in the boonies.
It was
Yeah.
in the sticks.
Yeah.
Then Alex was next at 279.
I was kind of annoyed because I got a hold of the disc. I just threw it,
It was
low.
low.
I just threw it low. It didn't have enough room to
Yeah.
To,
keep. I could
To grow.
to grow.
Whatever,
Yeah,
man.
room to grow.
Yeah.
Coulda, woulda, shoulda.
whatever.
And then
Photosynthesis.
birthday boy himself led the pack. 287. Sean got. Yeah. Did you? Are
Smoke
you
shine.
Like,
not happy with that number though?
no.
No. Oh.
We are
No.
consistently farther than that
No.
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
a daily basis. We don't play on a daily basis, but every time we
Yeah.
play,
Wish we did. When we did.
Honestly, egos aside, honestly, what did you think you were going to throw?
315.
yeah, 315 to 325.
I
Same,
I
Alex?
thought
Yeah.
legit 350 for me, but I've overestimated my abilities on every challenge we've ever done.
I'll not throw 350. I just won't get there, but I'll throw over 300 every time until we need to do a challenge,
Yeah.
and then I'll
Then
hyzer
you
out into the
hyzer out
weeds.
and
Mhm.
throw a B.
Yeah, correct. So
Re-tee for 3.
right.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's the total. Oh, I forgot to give the total.
Yeah, the total.
Hold on. Sean did the math.
900.
945 feet.
What were our original
4
guesses?
people.
I know Sean, you guessed 12 because I was gonna guess 1200.
250. I can throw a putter.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I threw a
It's so
mid-range
awful.
earlier today, almost 290.
So I don't know
Yeah.
enough about disc golf to see what took place and say what happened. So you guys tell me, since you didn't land on the number, what happened tonight?
My drive, I know, was just nose up the whole time and
Right.
not the right way.
Correct.
I know exactly what I did wrong. My footwork has not been great lately because I haven't been able to play
It
lately.
just kind of
Right,
stalled.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just kind of
It's okay.
stalled out, and it'd be set up for a great shot for
Yeah.
run.
You
running
did
the
call
whole eight for a
exactly.
three.
Your placement was money.
I try to lay up dead center between those trees
And
every
you hit
time.
that
So
perfectly.
in that regard, I hit the mark.
For me, I just threw low.
You did.
Yep.
It was low.
Okay.
I just didn't get a hold of it. That's all.
And that's just something that occasionally does happen. All these things.
Oh,
It's-
all the time.
Oh, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
You're-
Well, for
That's
us,
why it's so
I mean, it's all
amazing.
about muscle memory, right? Like if you were out there every single day, the muscle memory would be there, and you would just be consistently.
Actually, Ryan, you're 2 throws back to the tee box.
I know.
You were fantastic.
yeah, after
Yes,
we
they were.
threw, I
We're
went
in-
to get our discs and threw them back to the tee box and hit the tee box.
Pinned him.
Mhm.
Yeah, with
Literally.
no effort.
No effort. It was
So I
beautiful.
know. Yeah, it was
So you think part of it was you were in your head a little bit?
probably yeah.
That I
Yeah.
wanted
had
to
a
say
little bit
that.
of
I
a
mean, there was like
gallery.
10 or 15 people watching, and
We were
we're on
Facebook
Facebook, or we were on
Live
Instagram
and-
Live. So
Yeah.
it's not like I was sweating, but it was in my head like,
Mhm.
oh, people are
Yeah.
watching.
Look like you know what you're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So,
So yeah, that's what happens.
There's always
It
that.
was still
That's
fun.
like the tournament jitters that
yes,
people still get.
and that's
Philo
why
was
I
here
love
talking about how he still gets tournament jitters.
when you're doing Clash or an A tier, and they're like they announce your name before you tee off, and you know there's a handful of people watching. I love that. I mean, it makes it much harder. Maybe if you're a pro, you enjoy that pressure, but if you're an AM like me or most other AM players, it's pressure. I think a lot of people perform worse under that kind of pressure. Like that first throw of the tournament for a lot of people.
Mhm.
Oof, there's some jitters with
Yeah.
that one.
It definitely depends on what type of pressure. Like I'm with Jason, I can stand up in front of a bunch of people, and that kind of pressure is good for me. Like I love it. I don't care one bit. But yeah, standing on that tee box, there was nothing that felt good. There was not a single step felt correct.
My feet are backwards. What's going on?
What do
How
I
we
do with
this
my
again?
hands?
You're like the aliens in that one movie with Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Their
Yeah.
legs are
Oh, what is
backwards.
that called?
Arrival?
The Arrival.
The Arrival.
Yeah.
Yep.
Just nothing felt right. If I could take that back and throw it again, I'm sure I would do far better. But
So we can't tell you guys who won this contest because we haven't gotten the guesses yet. But as far as the four of us goes, we all made guesses last week, and
I was far closest.
Yeah,
I
Ryan-
think I guess
Ryan
like
wins.
10, 20.
But it
So-
is, I mean, disc golf is like golf where the lowest score is the winner, right? So doesn't that mean technically I won?
because you no, you're confusing lowest and worst.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh.
correct.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
All right. What do I know?
Nice
Yeah.
try.
Right.
Well, that's a wrap on that little segment. So that's a good time to move along to the Callahallander rundown.
The Callahallander Rundown. Brought to you by, or hopefully one day brought to you by, discgolfscene.com. Speaking of which, let's log on to discgolfscene.com back office so we can be reminded of all the events that we're running in the next couple of months. What do you say, guys? We are going to be kicking it off here. Feather Friendsdemic, that is coming down the pipe. Saturday, August 22nd.
Yes.
That is run by Miss Amy Laskowski that everybody loves to hear about on our podcast.
Butt Sex Club.
Yeah, they do.
It is coming down the pipe.
Wait, who was it?
Amy Laskowski.
Butt Sex Club.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did I skip over J-Town Championships? That's happening before that. Of course it is. That's happening on Saturday, 2 days from now, August 8th.
Yeah, it will be over.
But
by
it
the time this
feels
comes
to
out.
us like it's already over because it's so
Right.
close.
Yeah,
It's like
we've
in
already
the
done
orbit of the
everything we need
planets.
to do. Yeah,
Correct. The following day after the Feather Friendsdemic is the Funk over at Highland that the 3 of the 5 people that are sitting here are going to be playing. So
That's correct.
super stoked for
can't
that.
wait for a bunch of 270-foot drives at Highland.
Here we go. Not even 275. Hit the first tree.
Barely. Yep.
Sweet. Taking a 5.
Yep.
Down to the Workforce Brewing Open, which will be on Sunday, September 20th.
Mhm.
Did hear this is just, I think it's confirmed. It may change. I could see maybe that it would change. But as of right now, I think that our traveling pop-up tournament will not be a traveling pop-up tournament this year. It will be at Trinity due to the city of Plainfield not wanting to have a get-together in the park that we normally use for that, or that we did last year for that. So that was the word today. I just got that phone call. So that event may be over at Trinity, but no big deal. It's Workforce Brewing Open. They sponsor the course, and I'm sure that we are going to have good times with disc golf and beer. No,
Yeah, they've
doubt
got to be
about
happy
it.
about that. I mean,
It's
that's-
the no-brainer switch if we
Yeah.
can't do Plainfield to bring it over to Trinity. So I think that'll work out just fine. Everybody loves Trinity. Following weekend after Workforce Brewing is one of the things we're going to be talking about tonight. That's Inparcerated 3 in the old Joliet Prison. Sign-ups for Inparcerated 3 will have already happened by the time you hear this. So
Yeah.
super excited for that.
Right.
got
Mark,
my
who is
alarm
joining
set.
us tonight, is one of the guys that got that event going. So we're all very excited to get to talking about that tonight. It is going to be a blast. That's all we have. Because you know what? Last time I kept going. I went into October and Alex
We
was
got
giving
it.
me the look like, hey, shut the up, dude.
Yeah.
We got enough.
It's too much.
well.
So I'm going to cut
I'm not
it
going to
off.
give you that look today, but I'm going to remind you that it's your birthday and you don't want to be here that late.
Ooh, touche.
Yeah.
Let's we can keep it
You're
light
both right.
and
Yes, we'll
Light
cut it
and airy,
off
you know? Keep it
because
light
that's,
and
that's right
moving.
at the end of September.
Fluff.
That's the next 6 weeks we can worry about or so.
Yeah,
6-7 weeks. So
Mhm.
keep an eye out for all those events. They are all available for signups on discgolfscene.com.
.com.
awesome.
Come on, Pete, make it happen.
Yeah, I really think there's potential there. By the way, I think that it's a matter of time before that becomes a real thing.
Well, if we just
It's-
keep doing it.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's a fun joke for now, but
Sure.
I think there's legs there. Like
There's
Well,
legs.
That's all we
Oh,
use.
there's legs, arms. We got hands.
There's 4 guys that do this, and at least 3 of the 4 of them are on that site 6-7 times a week doing stuff.
Hours a day.
Yeah.
I spend on that site hours a day.
Get on it.
Refunding everybody who's refunding 48 hours before the event. Not naming any names.
no names. All right, so let's move along now to the local route.
Local route.
Local.
Sean, why don't you kick us off?
Okay, my local route shout out is also my latest and greatest employee, Mr. Professional MPO player Patrick Haker.
Yep.
So
Recently professional.
everybody who's been coming out to the events and getting player packs, our dear friends Nick and Nikki, who have been helping with that. So Nikki came to me and she said, first of all, obviously you guys need to hire somebody, because we did, because, Tyler and Frank have kind of, moved on and they've got their own things going on with, more work coming their way. So all the greatest to them. So COVID hit and we didn't really feel like there was anybody that we should be bringing in during that time, because it was just too much to ask of anyone to deal with all that kind of extra crap that comes along with it. So we didn't. But anyway, so Nikki said, you should really hire Patrick Haker, a.k.a. Eddie Bauer, that everybody knows.
Power.
Thank you, Twan, for that nickname. So we did. We brought it up to him, and he was super stoked to do it. He was like, yes. Like, let's do it right away. And today was his official, first day, which was on my birthday, thank God. So we were able to have the afternoon off, which was awesome.
So neither you or Sheila was here. It was just
this
Patrick
was totally
figured out.
the Eddie Bauer hour.
Wow.
Yeah, it was, and he killed it. He absolutely, I knew that he would, because
You didn't get 75 phone calls and
he
this,
called
that,
me
and the
one
other.
time and it was a legit question. So and I told him, I said, I'm available at all times. So obviously,
It's great.
yeah, it was awesome. So
I got a little glimpse when I first got here, and he was kind of wrapping up
Yeah.
his day,
Yeah.
and he was just like, yeah, today was a day. I mean,
yeah,
it was busy.
Yeah, I think it's funny that he'll kind of realize being on the other side of the counter is a different perspective completely to what happens at
Sure.
Delwood Disc Golf. It's not, coming in and a little bit of frisbee talk for 15 minutes and then you're out. It's that, but for 8.5 hours or whatever. You
Yeah.
know? So it's a lot. Yeah, just super stoked. Pat's a great guy. I've known him now for everybody that comes in that I've met through Delwood Disc Golf and doing what I do. It seems like I've known everyone forever. That's the vibe that we always have in the shop. So it seems like I've known Pat forever, but honestly, it's probably been maybe 1.5 2 years tops. But he's a great guy. He's always been a great spirit in the shop and at all of the events. So I'm super stoked to have him become part of the team. It's just
Killer.
perfect. I'm so happy.
It's great.
It's a
so
new
happy.
chapter in the Delwood story, man. That's
Yes.
really cool.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool. Ryan, do you have a local route?
I do. My local route is Mr. Birthday Boy, Sean Callahan.
No way.
Because it's your birthday. So, yeah.
That's really sweet.
I think it goes without saying, everybody knows who he is and what he does, but he does more than he ever should and goes above and beyond in every possible way to make everybody's disc golf experience amazing. And he's always coming up with new shit. There are 6 to 8 new things that you're going to be amazed by in the next year that he's already got bugging us about. And so yeah, it's nonstop, and it's all, it's all for the love of the game and for the love of all the players that we see constantly. And obviously we can't say enough about him. So happy birthday, bud.
Thanks, Doug.
Well, it was 37 years ago today that I became a brother.
Oh,
And
Oh
that's-
my God, it was.
That's a big deal to me.
You don't hold hands, Doug?
Yeah.
is that your local route? Do it.
That's my local route.
Oh,
Is that
no
it was
way.
37 years ago today that I became a big brother. And I remember it. I was 4 years old, but I remember it.
No.
And here's why I remember it. Because let's be honest, Sean's not a
Good-looking person.
he's not that good looking, right? No.
Got him.
He's not short, but you're not tall. I wouldn't say oh my God, it's a short guy, but you're not
smaller
a tall
statured
guy,
human
right?
being. Totally
And
fine with it.
here's why I remember it. And I can, if I close my eyes, I can remember holding your tiny hand in your, I don't know if you know this. You were, for the first week that you were home, your bed was a drawer.
We were Poe.
My parents took a drawer out of their, dresser
Isn't that Eddie Munster?
and
Yeah, it
Is it?
sounds
Yeah.
kind of like that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Eddie
and
Munster.
filled it with
Dude.
like a blanket. And that was his quote,
Little bassinet.
bassinet, right? Yeah, yeah. And if I close my eyes, I can remember, I was so excited to be a big brother. I really was. I remember being 4 years old and put my hand out, and your tiny hand holding my finger in that drawer.
All right, stop it.
I remember it, dude. I seriously do. Yeah,
We're going to cry. It's going to happen
true.
again.
Stop
I do.
it.
I
I
love
gotta
it.
hold
I
it.
It's
love it.
coming.
Here's a Kleenex.
It's coming.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
Well,
awesome, dude.
that's an appropriate. I like that because all the great things that Sean's done in the community, and you described, his tiny little hand in the drawer he came from. It's
Yeah.
like from the humble acorn comes the mighty.
Here comes
oak.
the mighty oak.
Yeah,
That's
dude.
right. Absolutely. He is
That's pretty cool,
oaked the shit out of life. Yep.
dude.
All
time.
287 feet. of it.
Got
him.
Got him.
Got him.
I'll do mine next. I've got a person that's kind of similar to you guys, really helped to shape the scene in this area. So I'm going to shout out Sean Callahan.
Oh.
Come on.
Yeah.
Did you guys
We-
plan this?
For like 2 seconds.
Yeah.
But
Gross.
yeah, the lives that have been touched from the work you've been doing, unbelievable. The thing that grabs me the most is how much support you give to like individuals. I mean, you put on these great events, you run the shop, but every person that comes in here wants a little bit of time with Sean. They just want a little like attention and a little like advice and a little, everybody just wants a little something, and you're constantly giving to everybody else. And I know that's not easy. You know, even when you're having a hard day, you still got to be that guy that people are like excited to come talk to.
Right.
That's not easy.
Yeah.
So yeah, the lives you've touched, it's a huge number. The impact is so immeasurable and awesome. And I'm just really glad we get to do this podcast with you. Happy birthday, you bish.
Thank you, boys.
Yeah.
Cheers.
Cheers.
You're the
Cheers.
best.
Cheers.
You're the best. You're the best. I love you all.
Clinkety clinkety.
I can't reach.
Sorry we didn't tell you about this, Mark, but
Yeah.
your turn for local round. If you have something you want to shout out.
Well, that's easy. There's really only one person that stands out in the past, well, since November 2018, and that's, as we all know, Mr. B,
Yes.
Hey.
Steve Behrens. And without Steve, I don't think I could have gone through this by myself, quite frankly.
Yeah.
He was
For a
definitely
lot of
the
reasons.
Robin to your Batman.
Yeah,
for sure,
he's,
man.
I mean, for a lot of reasons. I mean, sure, it's a lot of hard work, incredible, backbreaking, just mindless, just endless stuff like that. But it's really the ride. You know, it's really, we stoke each other up. It's really fun to be with him. You know, he's never down.
No,
Anybody who knows
he is the
Steve,
what
most
I've
one of the
heard,
most
yeah.
positive people I've ever
he's
met
just
in my life.
Like maybe twice. You know,
You've heard him complain.
no, not even complain. He was just, it wasn't that jovial person. But you know, here I'm looking at. Hold on, my phone just died. Here, I'll show you. I've actually kept track of our hours.
Yeah, I've heard this.
This is one of my
I
favorite
gotta
things
know.
about your
I gotta know
project.
the
So
number.
listen to this. Steve has been out there as of Tuesday, 953 hours.
How
Think
many
about
days?
that.
If you think about it as a work day, you know, think about it as an 8-hour work day. What are we at?
953 divided by 8. That is right.
Yeah.
Is that the right math?
Yeah, it's like 120 days.
That's not right. That's not right at all.
But
Is
he
it-
works
is it
too.
not right?
That's 119 work days.
Yeah.
I said.
But he
Wow.
has a job,
Correct.
Wow.
Yes.
and he lives 45 minutes away. It's
Oh,
Yes.
Dude.
I didn't know that.
Park
oh
Forest.
yeah,
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I
So
mean,
add an hour and a half
you
to
know,
every day. Yeah.
You know, I thank him, and I just
And when he's there, he's going
nonstop.
ham.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Ham.
and he doesn't do it for the thanks. He does it to do it.
Yeah,
And he's
yeah, I
stoked,
mean,
and he's always got a
Did-
smile on his
yeah,
face about it.
It's part of the reason anybody that works this hard. It has nothing to. I mean, we're not getting paid here. There's no budget.
What?
You know.
Right. We're not getting paid. You're getting paid.
So-
Wait a minute.
You guys are
to
getting
have
paid?
somebody jump in and join me like that and be so cool. Thank you, sir. I
Yeah.
just
Yeah, dude.
truly,
he is one of the coolest.
truly thank you.
coolest
Yeah.
characters.
The
Yes, he
work
is.
that he's putting in, obviously, that's like huge. But the fact that he's putting all that wind in your sails and making you,
Oh, 100%.
you're
yeah.
having a better time doing it. And you're
Oh,
probably
without question.
achieving more than you ever would have without that
Sure.
kind of.
Like
you
I
know.
said, I mean, I don't know if I could be out there that much. I mean, I'm out there alone for hundreds of hours more, but I don't think I could do it myself. Just being alone that much.
Well, and
Yeah, oh,
it's
nobody
not
should.
possible.
Nobody
Yeah.
should.
That's not.
Are there other people that have, wanted to help or offering to help?
Yes and no. People are busy and working
Mhm.
because of the pandemic. In April, we had a couple guys show up, Circle One guys actually.
Yes. Yes.
And it happened to be on my birthday. It was on
Hey.
Saturday. I got there really early, worked really hard. We started about 9 and it was probably 5 o'clock. And I know I worked hard because I went through 4 tanks of gas in my chainsaw.
Damn.
Whoa.
And I was like, you know what? I'm about done. And Steve's like, hang on. I got a surprise. And here comes 6 guys walking around the corner.
With cocaine.
Strippers. No. And they had 5 pizzas and like 4 cases of beer. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, right.
Out of
Dude,
nowhere. And they're like,
dude.
what can we do to help? And they took my chainsaw and started working. And it was like 9 o'clock at night. It's dark out. We have 4 fires burning. And
Chainsaws and fires in the dark.
oh, it was fantastic. It turned
Yes.
into this,
Like-
really
and,
depressing
I mean,
birthday
beer?
into
Yeah.
this really
Yeah.
cool experience.
I was not at that particular
yes,
one.
but it grew out of
Yes,
this event.
yes.
Yeah. And thank you, Steve, for making that happen.
Yes. But the work days that I have been a part of, which has been like maybe 2 or 3, there's a bunch of people, right? And we're all
Yeah.
in like kind of
Groups of 3, 4.
right?
Yeah. 5.
And we're cutting stuff down and we're building,
yeah.
piles where we're going to burn it. And then we light the fires and there's just multiple fires burning
Actually,
in a fairway as we're
anarchy.
cutting down.
The second
To an,
It's wicked.
to an outside person, it just looks like
the
anarchy.
second workday. So out of that grew a workday. We had 24, I think.
Yeah.
And we were basically on 2 holes, I think.
Oh, it was great.
Mhm.
The second workday, I didn't know it, but Ben Bijek was there with his brother. They were on hole 2. So he had 2 fires going there.
Mm.
Al Lefty started on 1 hole, 12 fires. And then that was hole 12 back then. It's now 11. And
Yeah.
then hole 13, which is now 12. I counted in total, we had 24 fires going in one day.
It was
on a
hysterical.
Saturday.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
White,
You can't be
hot,
a man and not
roasting,
enjoy
It
24
was unbelievable.
separate
giant bonfires.
When's the next opportunity?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
with
There's got to be another
It was
one.
really
what
fun.
you're removing, just to
Correct.
get rid of.
Yes.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
Like
just burning.
brush piles and branches and small trees.
I
And
see.
We're cutting
Okay.
it down and then burning
And then
it. We're not
burning it.
burning it to remove it.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
We're-
That's what I'm
we're
like.
removing it,
Can
then
you
burning
do
it.
the controlled fire? I
Yeah,
see.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But yeah, it all grew out of that. And unfortunately, it was because of the pandemic. And then,
Right.
everybody kind of went back to work and everybody, thank you very much, for apologizing. No need. No one owes me anything. This was my bad idea. I chose to do this, to torture myself. But,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but, it was just great. And I'd rather see people working and me out there alone. So
Yeah.
that's what
That's
I tell
a great
everybody.
shout out.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. But
That's
thanks
awesome.
everybody. Everybody's like, I wish I could make it. Hey, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really.
I'm
don't
sure
worry
there will
about
be many more opportunities
Yeah,
coming up
yeah.
now that it's slowing down with the season and
Yeah.
it's getting a little
Yeah.
cooler.
I'd love to
so-
go out there every day. And like the day after, the couple days after, when you feel that like can't get out of bed type sore, that's
Mhm.
like almost the best feeling in the world because you know how much work you put in and did.
Sure.
Oh man, I would love to feel that every day.
Yeah.
We are just about to get into the meat and potatoes of this episode, but before we do, I forgot a local route shout out that I had promised somebody. So yesterday, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize, and they were like, "Is this Alex? I found your Roadrunner. Awesome! Somebody found my disc, and they're returning it.
Oh,
Always restores your faith in humanity.
Yeah,
Love
of
that
course.
kind of thing.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
great.
That guy's name is Keith Susmarsky, and I told him, dude, thank you so much. He dropped it off here at the shop, actually.
Yes.
So clutch. He could have just kept it. Listeners, if you are not the kind of person to return a disc when you find it, and there's a name and number on it, shame on you. All right?
you're not the kind of people we want to
Yeah,
be
you're
around.
not
Yeah.
cool, man. That's
When he texted you, he was like, "Are you the Alex Seminary?" No.
Oh.
in
Oh.
fact, I'm gonna make you all cringe because I was like, I didn't say like you're never gonna believe who this is. It wasn't like that, but what I did say was, hey, what's your name? I want to be able to give you a shout out. We do a podcast from the shop, so if you know Delwood and you don't know the podcast, we have one, and I want to shout you out on the podcast.
Yeah.
That's it.
Did he know about it?
No, well,
Oh.
well, maybe he did, but he didn't say anything about it. But
Okay.
hopefully
He does
listens
now.
Yeah. So shout out to Keith. You're awesome. You're the kind of person that the community needs. So
Great job, Keith.
yeah, good
Yes.
work, man. And
Yeah.
I appreciate it. I love this disc. To be honest, I didn't even know it was missing. When you said you found my Roadrunner, I was like, I'm sure he's right because he got my name and number on it.
Right.
But I didn't know this was missing. So thanks
Now
a
you
bunch.
have it.
Yeah.
Now it's time for the heart and soul of the episode. Don't do the crime if you can't do the time.
Mm.
With Mark Grabavoy.
That means a lot. And it's true.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot of meanings behind the name
It
of
really
this
is.
episode.
It
And
really
we
is.
sat for 10 minutes before this started to figure out what are we going to call this. And Ryan came up with this, and it was like, well, actually, first, Mark told us the story of how he got connected with the prison out there, why it started, and the name happened fairly organically. So
Yeah.
let's
Yep.
start
It
from
fits.
there, Mark.
Yeah.
The story you told us about, how did you get connected with the old Joliet prison? Where did that start?
July 18th, 2018.
We're just over
Yeah.
2 years ago.
Take us back.
And it was about 7:30 a.m. And I was
Specific.
downstairs having coffee. I walked into the
What were you
room.
wearing?
I'm there with him right now in my head. I don't even know. Yeah.
Give us the scene.
I mean,
I didn't have underwear on, put it that way. How's that?
It was a red check.
No,
checkered
but I
bathrobe.
remember it like yesterday. And I walked into the room. I just got a cup of coffee, and I glanced at the TV, and it was a local station, and where they go out and they cover different things every day.
Mhm.
and they had a camera crew walking into the east gate inside the old men's prison. And I just caught a glimpse of the guy standing there, like fake handing out tickets. And they were promoting that the old Joliet prison on the east side of Joliet, is now open for tours.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea how big it was inside.
I've been reading up on all the latest scientific theories, parallel universes.
I like the bit when someone says it's bigger on the inside.
Now, remember, you guys don't know this, but I actually grew up on the west side of Joliet, but my mom and grandmother, they grew up, and I grew up going there, which is exactly a block south of where the course is right now.
Grew up going there, meaning the prison?
Just hanging out with my cousins. No, I've actually driven by the prison 500 times. I know the space, but so I have really good friends who lived literally 4 houses down, which is literally hugging the south end.
If you're driving, if you're going south on Collins, there is a big billboard that says Grabavoy Hardware.
It's my uncle's.
That's your uncle.
Oh,
Someone
wow.
just asked me that today.
Oh.
So that
I see that all the time.
Yeah.
So
And I was like, no, that's tied
and
to
I grew
Mark's
up in a
family.
bakery, and our bakery was right on Jackson Street,
Right.
and east of Collins. So I know the area really well, and I never occurred to me to
Just
think
never
about.
never paid attention to the
Never
prison.
paid attention to the prison, other than like anybody in Joliet. It's just
No,
there.
I'm the same. I grew up in the area, and I saw it every so often
Sure.
as I drove through.
Same thing.
But it just was a thing in the back of my mind, like, yeah, it's the old
Exactly.
prison. And that was it. That's all I knew.
In the moment I saw how big it was on the inside, the camera crew walked in through the gate,
Mm-hmm.
and I was like, I had no idea how big it was.
Mm-hmm.
And the first thing that came to mind was, wow, it'd be great to have a disc golf tournament in there.
Did you ever have that same thought about any other venue or?
Yeah. With friends, we've all talked about, wouldn't it be cool to play here? Wouldn't it be cool to play there? Stuff like that. Sure, I think we all do.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah,
not
I
a
guess
prison.
to some extent, I think, yeah, we've all had that thought, like, at a park or something. I've never had the thought of like, I could do something indoors like that. That's just really almost never happened. So the fact that that was your first thought when you saw it on the news makes me think
Immediately.
you must have been thinking that lots of times about other things before.
Not really.
So that was like a strike of lightning. That idea hit your
100%.
head just like,
Done. How do I make it happen? Kind of thing. So I didn't know anything about the prison and scale, size. I didn't know, would it be possible? So the first thing I did, I went to work, and at lunch, I did some homework on it. I jumped into Google Earth and started scaling it out, going, how big is this? I didn't realize there were 21 buildings on the inside. And then I scaled back and found a map, and I didn't realize that the prison owns all of this space. It's 180 acres collectively. And I was like, oh no. Really?
Yeah.
Hence
Seriously,
the name of
lightning
this
bolts? Come on.
episode.
Yeah.
this is when you decided, am I going to do this or not?
Yeah, it kind of came to mind. And I know that date and time because I actually saved it, and it's time stamped, and I still have it.
And what was the question you asked yourself?
I thought about it. I slept on it. The next morning at 10 a.m., I walked outside work in the back. There's a bench, and I'm like, okay, am I in or out? And it took about 10 seconds. And I was like, if I don't do this, I'm the biggest jerk in the world. This is going to be the coolest thing ever. Just like the wildest, craziest idea ever.
Yeah.
And if I do it, you guys don't know me that well, but when I'm doing it, I'm all in. It's either all in or all out.
This is a good time to talk about your credentials. So anybody else could have had this. I don't want to say anybody else could have had this idea, but it's awesome that this idea came to you. And before the episode, you were showing us some examples of what you do professionally. You've told us a little bit about your work history. It's the coolest thing. So what is your background, way before you start thinking about designing disc golf courses? What were you doing for a living?
My degree's in industrial design. And first year and a half I was in school, I was in architecture. And back then in the 80s, there's no computers. So you really had to learn how to draw perspective. And I'm so glad I did that. It really paid off.
The drawings were incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So
Mark brought his whole portfolio or, a sample of his work, and just looking through the pictures are,
Jason
the
didn't see
talent
them,
is
but
unreal.
Yeah, he's got to look at them before you go.
Yeah.
We will share some pictures, some samples of what you do. But yeah, the pictures are unbelievable. It's mostly done by hand. The thing that stood out to me, like the big connection between what you were doing and the connection to what you're doing now, is that you were designing exhibits for trade shows for big companies. So we're talking big.
Big $1 million booths.
Yeah,
for
$1 million
Sears
booths.
and you name it.
Mhm.
Glock and
AT&T,
hundreds
yeah.
and hundreds.
So the stakes are really high. Everything has to be extremely precise, and you have to be imaginative. They're not giving that job to just anybody. You got to be
everything-
kind of a boss.
Every job, every sketch you saw, every project is always out to bid.
Mm-hmm.
And either minimally 3 companies, usually more like 6 to 10. So to win that bid, you got to do it right. And back from in college, going through, and I finally landed in industrial design, which is product development. If anybody knows, you start with toasters and blow dryers, and you go into furniture, and you get into more complex things. And the big difference between that 10-week challenge and when you get into the real world, it turns into 10 days.
Sure.
So you have to know how, you have to have a skill level, and back in the day, it's really about the best ideas win. And so it's all about, I still draw with a pencil on a piece of paper. It's the best tool. It's the most dangerous weapon there is thought.
Damn, I love that.
It really is. And you can't design on a computer. To me, it's a glorified marker. It's the end. That's when you use it. That's just the way I was trained.
Sure.
And that's why I still sketch. You guys saw all these drawings.
Yeah.
And you start with thumbnails, and you go into elevations and perspective, and then, okay, I have an idea, and then you turn it into a model and I've just done this so many times, 300-400 projects that, without that training, I never would have tackled this space.
Of course.
I
and
just never would even, it wouldn't have, I might have said, oh, that'd be cool, but I wouldn't have said, yeah, I can do that.
There's
Right.
that.
Yeah, I can do this.
And then there's the, without that training, somebody who may have thought, like, I'm going to try and tackle this, there would be some element of doubt of like, well, sure, we'll see what happens. Like, we'll see what you do.
Right.
Yeah.
But knowing that you're a guy who is very detail oriented, you make sure you get it done right, and you've got all the technical background to design, at the highest level, that should make everybody who's listening go like, holy shit, what is this course going to look like?
Right.
Yeah.
It's a long story, but essentially, I think what it gave me was the ability to see right through the trees. I have no problem visualizing how the course or each hole is going to look completely finished. Absolutely no problem.
That's something I could never do. Sean and I walked Delwood a bunch when he was still going through some of the holes and the 8s when we were starting to cut down trees and like clear brush and all these things, and like, oh, here's where this is going to be, and here's where this is going to go, and this is how this is going to play. And I'm looking at it like,
I know the
what
feeling.
are you talking about?
Sure.
And obviously it was there, and I just had no idea. Like maybe out on like a more of a like a Mokina type area where there's not so much overgrowth and all that stuff where you can kind of see the lines. Okay, I'm going to put a basket here and a tee box here. That's fine. Out where you are, I mean, you're in walls of
Solid block of wood.
It's about 65 years old of old growth.
Yeah, it's impossible to get through and to see.
It's hard to walk. I mean, in
Right.
hole 4, which is a 800-foot par 5 on a slope, it took about 30 hours to cut a walking path.
Yeah, it's
And-
unbelievable. So to see that,
To
you
a
know, that
walking
hole,
path.
right?
This is not, yeah. So, and actually, I had shout out Dave Hopkins was out there. He actually at the turn,
Hoppy.
so it goes 260 feet ish uphill slight, and then takes a long left. And at that corner, it was uncut, and Dave Hopkins got lost. So I remember Dave yelling, "Where am I? Where am I?" But it was that deep and that dense. So
Right.
it actually, on that hole, I almost did it all by myself. That fairway of 600 feet took 7 weeks.
I remember you
Single hole.
cutting through
Yeah.
it and showing us pictures. It
Yeah.
was
And I have
unbelievable.
progress pictures of every hole. So if you don't believe me. So unfortunately, no, I didn't have the opportunity to have it all cut. I had to do it myself, or,
That's
with
the
the
best
help of
way to do
Steve.
it.
Oh, yeah, it's,
Yeah.
Best way
yeah.
to do it.
In the end,
So that's part of the reason it's taking so long is, it's that old. It's uncut. But having this background of 35 years, my first job out of college, I worked for ABC Sports in the 1984 Summer Olympics in Los Angeles.
No
in
kidding.
Central Graphics. Yeah,
No
that was
kidding.
my first job.
Hmm.
Paid job. And ever since then,
What were you designing there, or what were you doing?
I worked in Central Graphics. Back then, I was, 24. So I was a runner.
Coffee
which means
guy.
gopher.
Yeah.
Um, And then this is a month and a half before the Olympic Games, or more than that, it was 2 months before the games actually started. And then very quickly I realized that every sport has a field director. So the field directors would come in and try to get attention of the artists, which there was only 2 working at one time. And long story short, basically pre-Photoshop, they had a thing called a paint box. So this is big palette, really expensive, $4 million. It's really Photoshop, but back then that's all they had.
Mm-hmm.
And they would want their attention going, I need a map, I need this, I need that. And I was like, my boss, his name was Hi Bly. I was like, hi, I got this. I can draw. I know what they want. Let me talk to them individually and they can get out of here and go back to their event, venue. So I became the liaison between all the field directors and Central Graphics.
So you gave yourself a promotion.
Yeah. But he was cool. He was like one of my best bosses ever. He was like, yeah, go for it, So yeah. So the first thing I did was the marathon map for the Olympics in '84. I actually essentially designed that. So going up hills, there were wind direction. Rowing was another one I did where wind becomes really important in rowing. I didn't know that. So I was sitting there sketching all these things. It was really cool.
Okay. I had no idea that this was a part of your background. This is nuts. Did you guys know this?
Every time we have
Every
a guest
time
on,
he
it just
speaks,
blows
there's
my mind.
more
Yep.
crazy Grabavoy that comes out.
Is it possible that you are the most overqualified disc golf course designer in the history of the sport? Is that possible?
Idea. I have no clue.
Possible.
I look at
And
it this
we
way.
haven't even really scratched the surface of not only your golf background.
Yeah, I played golf. I started at 13, 14.
Golf?
Yeah.
Like
Ball golf.
Ball golf.
Ball golf.
Yeah, I hate to call it ball golf, but
Yeah.
We
really
should be calling it Balf.
yeah. So yeah, long story short, I really grew up with the game. Me and all the neighborhood guys. We had a big crew, and we used to go to Woodruff and Inwood, and and I really learned how to play. I backed off a little bit in the '80s when I started working full time, but then
Jason is still laughing about
Sorry,
Balf.
I can't get Balf out of my head.
I can't tell you how happy that makes me
But-
because I've thought that in my head for years and never said it out loud.
That's good.
Sorry, go ahead, Mark.
No, it does relate because eventually in the '90s I started getting more serious about it and playing all the time. And I finally dropped the money and went over to Cog Hill and took professional lessons and completely changed my game. First of all, throw all these clubs out. They were too short, took away, fix this. And the next thing I know, I'm like shooting 79, 81 at Cog Hill, number 2, not Dubs Dread. But then I bought a really nice bag with clubs that worked. And I was in sales at that time and I used to travel all the time and I used to fly my clubs everywhere. So I played Presidio, 8 or 10 just fantastic courses. So, and I really paid attention to how the course was laid out in Arizona. There were some fantastic courses in these ravines and where so I was already thinking about course design in relation to Balf. So
this is great.
Yeah. So that combined with the visual background and, and then I pick up disc golf.
That's what my next question was going to be. It's like, where does disc golf come into the equation?
It was actually right off the course here was built in
2014.
14. Yeah. That
oh,
winter.
It's that new.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is very new. Yeah.
No, I mean, new for you. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Have you gone back to play Balf since you started playing disc golf?
No, I sold my clubs 2 years ago.
Wow. You fell
committed.
You fell hard for disc golf.
Yeah, it took about 3 rounds.
Damn,
was
that's such an endorsement.
It. This is it. This is the shite.
Yeah.
Dude, this is it. Yeah.
Matt's, you just, I hope Matt's hears this.
Matt, you Matt's Adams act him. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I spent a small fortune playing golf. It's not free, but you get what you pay for, which relates to
a
what
small
disc golf
fortune
is.
in disc golf is you living like a king.
Yeah, but in all the courses I played, some of these courses back then were $160 a round, one round of 18. Now
you could
the
disc golf for a
experience
year on $160.
Right,
Yeah.
right. But there's payback. There's and anybody who's played golf and you go into disc golf in these courses, there's a reason they charge that,
Right?
Because you get it back.
Mm-hmm.
That experience is another level.
Sure. And for most courses, that is the reason why Shorewood is free.
Right.
Because it's Shorewood. I mean,
Yeah.
It is a disc golf experience, but you get what you pay for.
You can't charge for it.
Right.
I'm going to interject because my brother asked a question last week that we did not get to, and we need to get to it this week. We'll get to it later in the mailbag, but I'm going to plant the seed now. He wanted to know if a private disc golf course could ever work. Like if you modeled it with the country club and that kind of model.
I think about it all the time.
So let's get to that when we get to the mailbag, but I wanted you to, have it in your mind.
I truly think about that in some way or some form or another in a bunch of different ways. I literally think about it all the time, like every week. Like how far how far can I take this?
That's exciting.
And what's the value of, pay to park, for example? We don't do that here in Michigan. They do.
Yeah.
And there's a reason. Yeah. So there's a maintenance fee. All right. Sure. How if you're going to pay for maintenance, what do you get in return?
Well, that's an entire episode's worth of conversation.
It really is.
Yeah.
So that whole concept. But I was here when Brian Earhart and Uli were here. It was a year ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And I was telling Uli
King of
about
the
it.
Canyons.
And he's played, for over a decade in Europe. And he can walk in Estonia in a mall and kids will know him. And I was telling him about the idea, and he was like the first one. He goes, "No, charge to park. Absolutely. It pays for the mowing. It pays for this. It pays for You can still for day to day go, yeah, okay, it's free to play. But to raise it up in a level that it minimally equal what they're doing in Europe. So I think about that all the time. I really do. So how does it
when you started to design the outdoors, like the outside course that you're doing now? That must have come after. Well, it came after you thought about.
Yeah, let's go back. Let's go back. So
exactly.
July 18th, I reached out. It turns out the guy who was taking tickets at the gate when I saw this was WGN, and I'm like, I think I know him. He's like a second cousin.
Oh wow.
Yeah, but it's been like 15 years. I mean, I'm not. I don't call him. We don't know each other's number or anything. And I'm like, so I reached out to him on Facebook, and he connected, and he was like, yeah. So I'm like, all right, that's when I said to myself, am I in or out? I mean, I was like, I got to go.
You've got the connection. You've got the idea.
Yeah. So, and I knew there's a restoration of the prison going on. And I was like, I've been to Alcatraz, and from my design background, minimally, if you guys are going to do this, I'll volunteer my time to make sure you try to do it right. Literally. When
you say try to do this, you mean Inparcerated?
No, I mean the restoration of the old men's prison.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it turns out one of the drawings I showed you, I won the bid for all the signage inside and outside the prison.
Cool.
So that's kind of the reason that was like, I'm really serious. I really want to help. I mean, I drove by this place for 18 years, So I reached out and I was sitting there. I think I bet somebody at work $10. There's no way in hell this guy knows what disc golf is, right? So I reach out, like, hey, can you talk? Boom, he calls me. I'm like, hey, how's it going? I haven't seen you in a long time yet. And he goes, what's up? And I go, well, I have an idea. I'd like to have a disc golf tournament, a benefit for the restoration of the prison inside the men's prison. Do you know what disc golf is? Hell yeah. I grew up playing at West Park. I was like,
oh,
yes. Yes. Thank you, Quinn. I love you, man.
Yeah.
And Quinn is also one of the coolest guys.
He is cool as hell, yeah.
Very
So
awesome
that was
dude.
literally the initial. And I'm like, okay, I need to get in there and we need to walk around. I actually called 10 minutes later. I'm like, Sean, you're not going to believe this. I'm coming over. So we actually,
I don't care what you're doing, dude. I'm coming over right now.
Yep.
I believe that you're coming over.
The next day, we got a walkthrough.
Yeah, it was so quick. I remember like you'd come here and you were like, we're doing it. And then it was the following day.
Yeah. So we walked out of
that we were already out there.
The admin building and took a right, which is now hole 8, and went to 9, 10. We literally walked the course. I couldn't believe it. So the next morning I sent Sean a layout of the course and he was like, where'd you get this? And I said, we walked it yesterday. Done. But I had trouble with 3 holes in the middle.
Wait, you had drawn it up like overnight?
Yeah. Actually, the next morning, it took like 2 hours. In Photoshop, took an image and just put layers of, baskets and pads and laid the course out. It was that easy. But I was struggling with 3 holes. I'm like, Sean, you got to come in there and help me. And he was like, no, do this and this. And I was like, yep, done. It was that quick.
Yeah, we landed on it really quick.
Really fast.
It makes sense that you would have helped to design the course for Inparcerated. But I feel like of all the times we talked about your credentials, that has never come up in my mind that you also have done that.
We extended one's T-pad back, added 7. There were like, because out in the main field, everybody knows what that is. For year 1, hole 3.
Right.
There was a whole interfering with it. I was struggling with it. I'm like, hey, let's go out there and walk. So it was you and Sheila and myself, and we walked around. And after about 4 hours, we're like, yeah, this will work. Okay.
Yeah.
So the total time it took to conceptualize the course for Inparcerated, what do you think?
Hour.
An hour?
Yeah, it really wasn't.
The next morning, I laid it out, and then we probably spent 4 hours after that walking it.
Yeah. I remember Sean talking to
Yeah.
me about it, and he was like, "Yeah, we laid it out, and it took this," and I was like, "No."
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's
No,
like one of
you
the
didn't.
most condensed versions of find the cool shit and let's play around in and around the cool shit.
Right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was
I-
simple.
inside of
we're going to
4
start here and
limestone
end
walls.
here. It has 18 has to end at this point,
Yeah.
so let's work around that.
Yeah.
So,
Then how do we link 18 of these together?
yeah, right.
Yeah. Hole 18 was a no-brainer. Yeah. So
Yeah, right. And I've thought recently about, every possible way of changing it, going in reverse.
Yeah, we were just out there the
and
other
I'm like,
day
no,
for a couple of
no,
hours.
and there's some holes you just can't touch.
No, right.
Which is kind of
That's
where
what
I,
she said.
going back to my course. So once I got the okay,
Hang on, I want to recap that.
Damn it!
He said there's
Normally
some,
those just fly past
there's
me.
some
That one
holes you
landed
can't
hard.
touch.
Some holes you just can't
holes
touch.
just
Well,
can't
that's what
touch.
she said.
That's what she said.
Dude, you're
Damn it.
getting
So,
surgical.
yeah,
That's fine.
surgical with these.
long story short, I had a vision. There was this huge space. I don't even know how big it was. It was like, yeah, I can do something out there. So I had, I think, 6 meetings and all the information in the world about how great the local disc golf community is, which it is. It's huge. I had all the figures. I had, every Facebook club, how many members. I just had data overload.
Yeah.
And I kept pounding everybody. And it took a while. It took months and months of meetings. And finally they were like, yeah, go for it. And I literally looked back behind me. Oh shit, you're talking to me? I still
What did I
remember
do?
the moment. I was like, okay, let's go,
So from there, you must go straight back to Sean, like, Sean, dude.
Yeah,
to
actually,
go ahead.
the second time I
Yeah.
was there,
Sean,
you and
Sean, it
Sheila
worked.
walked through.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was literally couldn't walk. I mean, it was crazy. So I spent a month walking out there. Now this is November, and every time I went out, I used GPS on my phone and map it, and then I go back and layer that. So that original file is now my final file, but it's version 48. I think I have 48 different designs now.
Wow. Okay.
So I just keep making it more and more detailed and that kind of thing. So, but I can literally pull up an older file, same scale and everything of my final design right now, and has the original walking path. So I can go back and go, oh, I remember that tree, and
Right.
oh yeah, it's really fun.
So from the time that you got the approval, Sean, to I'm putting out the first poster or like the registration for Inparcerated, like I want to know about the branding process. Like you must have, I mean, Inparcerated is the coolest name.
Yeah. We were going through names and we were trying to figure out, okay,
For a
this
couple
is gonna be
days.
big, like we need to make it cool. I think Inparcerated or some version of
Somebody
the
came up
play
with that. I
on
don't think
that.
I came up with that name actually.
Yeah.
me and Donnie were pushing hard for 18 to life.
That would have been another
We had
cool
a bunch
one.
of great names.
Yeah.
Damn, that would've been
crazy
cool.
names.
Believe it or not, I was actually part of that process as well. You had texted me when all this was going on. You were like,
Yeah.
just bounce anything off of, just
Terrible
something.
idea.
Yeah.
Jason was like,
Yeah.
how do I get the word piss involved?
Yeah, exactly.
Inpisserated.
Inpisserated. Yeah. And he shot it down real quick.
But to be totally honest, the one thing I couldn't control was the behavior of everyone going to that first Inparcerated. And I was a little bit nervous.
Disc
honest.
golfers, you ought to be nervous about.
So, and it was enlightening because everybody was so cool and professional and behaved themselves so well that nobody knows about it. But there was a lot of people walking through that space, watching the event. And
making sure that they had not made a big mistake.
put it over the hump for me to get the okay to go ahead and do this.
Wow.
Truly.
So I remember was it after the first one or second one where there was an article in Disc Golf magazine about the event? Was that after the first one?
Yes.
And there was Jomez came out or so Dynamic
DD.
DD came
DD.
out.
Yep. Last year. Bobby
So I mean,
Brown.
Last year,
if you're
Bobby
when you're
Brown.
talking about disc golf media coverage, that's like the highest you can get.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having Bobby out with Didi, I mean, it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
The video that he put together.
Yeah, I
Oh,
saw
it was
that.
a
his
blast. He had so
time.
much fun.
He
Yeah.
had a blast, and it really, I think that Mark and I both felt like it really captured what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
Mm.
It was
You know.
great.
So as soon as the event ends, was there any question about we're doing this again, right?
Absolutely.
And
Well,
and-
it was
and-
like shortly, it was kind of in the mix with the first year that then the East property was like starting to become a thing, and you were going, oh,
Well, that out of that grew a phone call. I think it was or a text message from Sean to me, and he was like, "Hey, me and the guys at Trinity, Leo, Doc, Thor, we were talking about trying to do a putting league. Can we do something inside the prison? And I'm like, well, no, there's no electricity. There's no heat. It's abandoned. It's closed. You know,
We're like,
I can get
so?
in. Sure. I got keys, but nah, but hold on. Let me see. So I made a few phone calls and talked to the right people. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. This space is available across the street. So there's a women's prison across the street that was built in 1898. It opened. And there's walls around it. And inside those walls, there's a 2-story maximum security prison that nobody knows about. And I was like, and there's electricity. There's no heat, but that's okay. We can work around that.
Yeah.
So I'm like, guys, you're not going to believe this. So we got a tour and we were like, 3 rooms, 18 holes. We're not doing 3 baskets. No. We're going full blown here.
Right.
So that came out of, but somebody suggested it. And I thought it was you, Sean.
Yeah.
And I was like,
JPP.
you're not going
that
to believe
has
this.
been such an important thing for growing the sport. I mean, I have not been myself. I need to get out there. I know I do. I know. But
It's okay,
it
Alex. Me
is-
neither.
Yeah, me and you, Jason.
Yeah.
But the talk around it, like the conversation, the buzz about it in the community is undeniable. And when we had Amy Laskowski on as a guest,
Butt Sex Club.
Amy Laskowski,
Butt Sex Club.
she was mentioning how an event like that is so important for getting more girls involved, but not just, and you have to scale it out because it's not just girls. And even if you don't care about disc golf at all, the idea of going to hang out at a prison, and be like party vibe, it's more social than anything. Yes, disc golf is a part of it, but it's a party.
How many beginners do we have?
Exactly.
Oh God! I mean, everybody was bringing their girlfriends, and then then they were like, "Okay, we're doing this every Saturday."
Mhm.
Yeah.
And then by the end of JPPL, those women are now making up for like 50% of the FA2 and FA4 field
Exactly.
that are playing all of our events.
You want
Not
talk
to
about
mention
growing
all
the
those
sport,
guys
dude.
too.
Yeah. So
So it's fantastic. It really is. And I have to shout out Leo Borowski, who is one of the biggest roles in making JPPL happen. He is
thank you.
the dad of that place and
the dad of this area
does
He's
so
the
many
voice
things
of
in order
JPPL.
to make that cool and puts in so many hours that people don't realize. But Leo, we love you.
But again, the behavior and the crowd and the excitement and how much fun it is, that experience, again, that's actually in there is where I got the okay to move forward with the space.
So does JPPL go to benefit the prison as well?
Yeah, all of this is 100% for the restoration of the prison, period.
So
and
when that starts, when they start actually restoring it, because that hasn't started yet, has it?
yes. Oh, yeah, it's been
it has?
going on.
Okay.
Oh, sure. They have thousands of hours of
'Cause,
volunteer work
well,
cleaning it up. And oh, my God, it's unbelievable.
My
what-
concern is, like, once it's all cleaned up, are they going to let you keep doing disc golf in there?
Sure.
Oh, they will?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
the
cool.
least impactful event there because
Sure.
we move
They
in,
have, like,
have a
concerts and
tournament,
stuff.
and we're out in 2 hours, and you didn't even know we were there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Awesome.
You
They
can't
had
ask
like
for more.
open air concerts, and I would imagine that place gets trampled.
It
by
gets
the time it's
trampled
done.
and trashed.
Yeah.
And yeah. So it's a little different, but it works perfect. It just
Right.
that's
All right.
disc golf. It's great.
So Inparcerated, huge success. It gets picked up everywhere. It's the talk of disc golf, probably nationally for at least a hot minute. Then you guys follow that up with the JPPL, the putting league. It's another explosive idea. Like, everybody loves it. And how do you follow that up?
Well, with a gold course.
Mhm.
So I was talking to Sean.
Yeah.
This is a long story. I'm gonna have to cut this way down because I could talk for hours just on what is a gold course. There's no book. There's no way. You
Right.
know?
We've
So
had that
when I'm out
conversation
here,
so many times.
We've had that discussion on the podcast.
yeah. So the process of going through this vacant space. By the way, it's roughly 80 acres. So before you can do anything, you have to go, where the hell am I, kind of thing. And
I need a
spend-
frame of reference because when you say 80 acres, I just
An
go,
acre
that sounds
is-
big. How many acres
An acre
is
is
Delwood sitting on?
An acre,
Probably half of that.
an acre is a football field without the end zones.
Okay, so
Put 80 of
it's-
them together.
Okay.
When you look at this
That's enough.
property on Google Maps, you can fit 2 of where Delwood is into this property with room to spare.
And remember, most of this, you can't even walk. It's
Yeah.
just, so to understand the terrain and the, water is everything. There's these 2 huge rivers that run through it, one east-west,
Mhm.
one kind of, it's like drawing a number 7 backwards on a sheet of paper. Here's a challenge for everybody. Take a sheet of paper, 8.5 by 11, All right. Portrait. Come in an inch all the way around and draw a 7, the number 7 backwards. Okay. But don't connect the 2 lines. Essentially, that's the lowest 2 points, and those are streams. And the north line is really a river that has been cutting out through this terrain for forever. All right. So water flow is an issue big time. So the bottom left quadrant is basically a floodplain. So that's why I was GPS mapping, walking through it, because it would just flood all the way out. And I'm like, okay, that's why this place is really unusable for anything other than disc golf. Truly.
Right.
But I had to control the water. So once, this is a cool story. It was the week before Christmas in 2018. Forgot what day. So I'm out there.
It's okay.
Yeah, it was, sun goes down at 4:30. It's like 3:00, and I got a beer and I'm stumbling, all dressed up, and I'm just walking. It just snowed, so it's like 6 inches of snow. I'm stumbling, going, okay, how much closer can this floodplain go to that diagonal line kind of thing? And I stepped in a huge pit and did a face plant. Went flying, right? Didn't spill my beer, but. And then I'm like, what the hell was that? I didn't hurt myself or anything, but it was a big hole. It was like 3 feet deep.
Wow.
So I took
What a
hole.
Wow. What a hole. Took my backpack off and dug it out, and there's a drain, an ancient old pipe, like 12-inch diameter pipe flowing southwest out of the park. There's 3 marshes in this place, ancient marshes, and the marsh and dirt and everything had grown up and blocked it up. I was like, game changer. Now I can use this whole right half of that diagonal line, which is elevated 95 feet. It's completely different terrain.
Whoa! Wait, so you cleared open that pipe?
Yeah, but then from there, which is down in the middle of that diagonal line, down near the bottom, following that line all the way up till it stops to its source, is 2,200 feet roughly. And Steve and I initially dug that. It took months. And made it work.
And you just do it by hand?
2 shovels in the middle of the winter in a foot of water digging out stream. And since then, we've done it probably 3 more times. It gets easier as you do it. But
is there a chance that somebody will hear this and have access to the kind of machines that would really make your life easier? And would you want that?
Well, at that point, I thought about it, but it's a marsh. It's not even dirt. It's not ground. You're digging out old
couldn't get
debris.
In there.
You can't get anything in there.
Yeah.
It's flooded.
Gotcha.
So we had to walk through it and dig it out. And slowly over time, over 9 months, a year, it now flows and it worked.
And so it doesn't hold water. That's not a problem anymore.
Yeah. So that was a big thing. It changed the design. I can't tell
you
you how
ever
many
get
times.
worried about playing God?
In a way, I brought you here to offer you a job.
Job, what job?
My job. You think you can do it better, so here's your chance.
No, I respect the space. I've got, I know the wildlife by name. There's Juan and Cleo, and there's all these animals that literally follow us around.
Seriously, it's amazing.
I was kidding, but this is amazing.
Serious.
This is amazing.
So one of my objectives is to make this look like the course was there already with the stone staircases that I'm built. I'm literally finding local limestone and building this stuff, and it looks like it was there. And I've gotten to the point where this sounds goofy, but the course was there. My job is to find it.
Totally.
It goes back to why I'm
shivers.
That
gave me chills.
Yeah.
It
But
goes
I don't
back,
care about this shit. That gave me chills. That was awesome.
And it goes back to why I'm doing this. It's that payoff. I know in the end I did it right. It was the best solution for the space. I don't know if I'll ever do this again. I don't care. But man, it's great. It's
you
really
better
cool.
believe people are going to come knocking on your door at some point after having played this, and they're going to have ideas. Your name is going to be attached to it for forever. I mean, it's quite a legacy, but people are going to come knocking to say, hey, I have this place. I have this, plot of land. Can you help out? Or would you be interested in helping out?
Well, I can now. Yeah. I mean, 2 years ago, I would have no idea. But going through the process of design through such a tough place, we really haven't even talked about the design of the course yet.
Right.
I mean, we could have a whole episode just on course construction.
Yeah.
I mean, what I've learned and how you can't fight Mother Nature. There are things that you just don't go there, go around it. Sean and I were talking about it. You were out Monday, I think, and we were like, no, I just gave up. I just can't do it. I've tried. No, Mother Nature wins. So you have to work with that.
Yeah.
So that's part of what makes it beautiful. I think it's really natural. You know?
Yeah.
And it's the way it sounds like it's the way it has to be. I've seen other courses where they try to make something happen that shouldn't, and then it's just
I think we all have
just a countdown until that problem is too big to ignore.
Sure, yeah, that's the kind of thing.
So, what is your ultimate plan for the course once it's in and once people are playing it and everything?
I don't have to be there every day, and that's the goal. That's why I said I saw a light at the end of the tunnel. That means I can just stay home for a month.
Right, yeah.
Right.
That'd be nice.
I wish you,
Literally, that's it. I just want to go out and throw and play. I haven't played. This year I played 1 round of 18. One.
Wow, we need to change that.
First time ever at Oli.
Oh, wow.
And I loved it. Oli's great.
Yeah, it's a nice course.
Yeah. But in 2019, I played 5 rounds total.
Oh,
In 2015, I was playing 8 rounds every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Yeah.
Every weekend. Just madness. You know how it is. You get the bug, and it was just nonstop.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
Well, you've got a completely different bug now, but I mean,
Yeah, that's what it is. And I felt guilty every time I go out and throw. What am I doing here? I'm making a course. What am I doing here?
Yeah, we do it every day.
It's not a priority.
Right. Well, the reason I asked what your plan was is because I know Sean has a plan for what that course might turn into once it's done.
Well, the amazing thing about the course is that it opens up so many possibilities, is what Ryan is referring to.
Sure.
Of
We've talked about it. Yeah.
the bringing the larger events to this area and needing a quote unquote gold, even though we have openly said that what is the definition of that, we don't know.
Right.
But that course that is going to truly challenge the people that are going to be coming through our area. And I, having been in Mark's brain for the last year and a half and been out there and talked to him and seen it, it's there. That is there. So it's very exciting to think about the possibilities of the next 3 to 5 years of our local disc golf scene with everything that you have put in to this point.
You know, let's go back real quick to that morning when I said, am I in or out? And it literally took seconds to go, well, first of all, the community here, the players are here. They're great. It's established. J-Town's been around forever. We have great courses. By the way, the location is beyond I was like, what?
Yeah.
I'm 4 minutes from Trinity, 5 minutes from Delwood,
dude,
10 minutes from Highland. Like you couldn't plan it any better. If this was 10 miles out in the middle of nowhere, I wouldn't do it. There's no way.
Right.
But it's in the heart of everything that's here in Northern Illinois.
But by the way, when you are out there, you are in the middle of nowhere. You're in Narnia.
Yeah, you feel
everybody
like
that's come out.
It's fantastic.
And I've had many, many people, top players in the area, walk through it, and they're like, "Where am I? Wisconsin?" I mean, you're lost.
Yeah,
you don't know.
You
where
could be
you're
in
at.
the wilderness of Alaska at that point. Like you have no idea where you are.
No idea.
It's fantastic.
Is that woody over there? Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's crazy.
Well, actually, there's 3 distinct ecosystems.
Okay.
Completely. 3 completely separate ecosystems.
Wow.
So you're playing in and around all 3 of those. I don't want to give it all away, but
Sure,
that's I'm glad you brought that up because as much as you've talked about it, now we've been here for some time, you've covered a lot. There's still so much mystery to it, and that's a good thing. I like the idea that people are just going to be speculating and wondering and wanting to know, and when you're finally ready to reveal it, it's going to blow minds. And can you give us any estimation of when you think the public will be able to see this place?
I honestly don't know, and I can't think like that.
Okay.
I often remind myself that I only have so much time. It is what it is. It just takes as long as it takes.
Cool. Don't rush it. I mean,
I'm not going to go, okay, I need to, let's push it. We were talking about this. Sean was out Monday or something. And I was like, no, it's done when it's done. Sorry. I'm doing this right.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I am not the first one to design a disc golf course. I know that. And actually, it's a privilege and honor to be in that group of people. It's something that I've just jumped into, and I feel really cool about that. I kind of really respect it, and because now I know what everybody's gone through. A lot of people don't know how difficult and how time consuming and backbreaking this is, and I'm not getting paid. This is costing me money, the gas, and I don't care about the time, but it's a very unique club.
It is.
It really is. And, after stumbling through this place and realizing its potential, I was like, I could have 3 white courses on this space. But I was like, why would I do that? We already have that.
Yeah, plenty of that here.
So I ran this idea around Sean. I always love his opinion. And he was like, oh, go for it. I'm like, I have to. It's just unbelievable.
Right.
So that's where it comes into, okay, I've watched literally 5,000 hours of YouTube video. I've seen all the local pros throw, and I get it. I get golf. I get it. So when it comes to par, I don't think of par. Par's irrelevant on this course. Everything's a 1-shot, 2-shot, or 3-shot hole. You should be able to, a top player, which we can talk about what that means, but a pro.
We're talking guys
paid.
who can drive like 279, 287.
107.
107.
107.
Yeah. But no, that level of player, top guys around here, for example, they should, in 1 shot, obviously there's par, it's 1-shot hole. You're in circle 1. You should have that opportunity. But over 8 of those holes, they're all going to be different completely. 2 or 3 are going to be like aceable. But you got to hit this line exactly at 250 feet between these trees. It's, so that's how I go into each single hole and compare them all next to each other.
Yeah.
And then the 2-shot holes are my favorite. That's, you call par 4. That means in 2 shots, top guys should be in circle 2. So I look at it this way. Top players should be able to play par out here. By the way, that's without wind.
Sure.
Wind completely changes the complexion of everything. But
always
to get a birdie, you have to earn it. To me, that's what a gold course is.
Yes.
It's
I'm glad you said that.
The ability to birdie a hole becomes more difficult and complex. Doesn't matter the length, but that to me is the differentiating factor that I'm trying to design into the space.
We've had that question before. Is like, what makes a course gold level? I'd love that answer. I think that's really
the best way I can define it is, a par 5, and that 3rd shot, you should be in circle 2.
Makes sense.
And if not,
right. If you're not critically thinking for 3.5 hours, probably not a gold level course.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah. So thought, it's all about strategy, basically.
We're gonna have to have you back for another episode because there's still more.
There's so much.
We haven't even touched the concepts that I've tried to attach, and we really haven't even touched on that. Yeah, and
but the time is flying. Honestly, like I can't.
The part, as the outsider, that's blown me away is you don't talk like a dude that's been in disc golf for the 5 years,
6
or 6. Yeah, right,
like
6. Yeah. Like to me, I to hear you talk, had you not said what you did, I feel like you would have been in disc golf for 20 years, and that to me is so fascinating. Like how deep you got in this as quick as you did.
Long story short, first disc I bought was January 12th, I think. 2019, no, 18, 2000, no, wait, 15. Yeah, it was 2015. I bought an Insanity. But before I bought that Insanity, I studied the flight of discs. I didn't know what PLH was. I didn't know what the Bernoulli effect was. And I dove in deep that whole winter. I was like, it's fascinating. That's why part of the fun. That's why you see grown men throwing discs, because when they fly, it's just fascinating. It's everybody,
right?
And when you can control that flight, it's really cool.
Right.
Damn it, dude! I've been looking for a way to say that for years, and you really hit the nail on the head. It's not just throwing a frisbee; it's the art of being able to control this thing, which is what every sport. It's what drives every sport.
Every sport, yeah.
It's
we
what
owe it all
drives
to Bernoulli. That's right. Yep.
And yeah, when that feeling when you threw the disc and you're like, I nailed it that time. I did exactly what I was gonna.
I got every bit of that 107.
Did not feel that today.
87
Did not
feet.
feel that today. Yeah,
I did on hole 17 at West Park.
Yeah, you did. You did. You got all of it there.
I thought I was gonna get it. Yeah. I thought I was gonna ace it.
And that's why we play. When you know
it truly is.
When you know you got it right.
Oh, yeah.
That's the best feeling.
Yeah, you come out of a round and you're always going to remember 1 or 2 or 3 shots, maybe a putt, or it doesn't matter. But you always, same thing in golf. I did. Golf. I'm sorry, golf.
Yeah.
Please make golf a thing.
Well, you play a mediocre round.
That's the shirt idea.
That's the shirt. Golf.
Yeah.
But every now and then, everybody gets that moment. It's like, that's it. I can do that again. Yeah. I can do it again. I know I can do that again.
You play a mediocre round and then you shoot one great shot and you say, where's the next Pro Tour stop? Let's go.
Yeah.
I'm signing up.
That pursuit of there's joy in doing something excellent, and when you did even something as simple,
it's a big part of it. It truly is,
and I think that is it's a concept in anything that we do as humans, but with a sport like disc golf, the joy that we're chasing is knowing you did that one time excellent.
The payoff is fantastic.
Yeah.
At any age, actually.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say I got the bug, but I think I got the buh. Because I really want to see if I can throw past 107 feet.
You
now.
can, dude.
You can. You definitely can.
You definitely can.
All right,
Damn it.
that's like I said, we could be. You could
I
keep us here
literally
for
haven't even
hours.
touched on some core concepts of each hole and how they're. That's another episode. So.
Yeah.
Listen,
Well,
we
we'll
have
have
not
another
shared this
episode.
with the audience yet, but I'm going to do it. We are planning for this to be a season. We're going to do season 1, and it's going to be 15 episodes. This show is going to be the end of season 1 is coming very soon. So we're on episode 13. We got another one, and then 15. Another one. And then 15 is going to be a wrap up of the whole season. And then we're going to take a break, and then it's going to be season 2. I'm sure we'll learn some things. We're going to do some things differently, but I'm already thinking, is Mark coming back for season 2 or is Mark coming back for season 3? But it's a matter of time. You're coming back. Maybe it's when the course is open and now we can play it. Maybe that's when we have you back, but we have to have you back.
Yeah.
There's so much more to
Yeah,
talk about.
I would love to see where the Mark Grabavoy adventure is in 6 months and where the holes are and what phase of doing the
And
next thing.
That's a
that
great point, Sean, because, from the first time I walked out there to now, I have become so much more efficient and better at what I do just through the experience
Sure.
of 13. I'm at 1,300 hours. That's a lot of time to spend walking through some woods.
Right.
I now know the woods. I'm naming trees.
Yeah.
Literally.
Hey, Jason does that too.
Maybe
Yeah,
he's
I
been out
do.
there
Yeah.
for a little
Yeah.
too long.
And all the way.
Yeah,
Right. So it's really interesting
Have you
to
named
go.
any trees after celebrities yet?
I have not. No.
Jason
Should I?
named the tree
There's
outside.
there's a couple good names out there if you want to hit up our Instagram.
Yeah.
There's a post.
What is the tree right outside the shop?
Woody Harrelson's outside. But the other names I were considering were Woodrow Wilson and Spruce Willis.
Oh.
That's great. And Woody Allen. Those are the other 3.
Yeah.
I think you made the right call.
Yeah. Woody Harrelson, definitely way to go.
Okay.
First tree I named was Luigi, by the way.
Luigi.
Yeah.
Luigi.
Looks like a wet noodle.
That's a nice name for a tree.
That's a name for a tree.
All right. I have to keep us moving, man. That's my
Yeah, let's
job on
go.
the show is to keep us moving.
Yep.
Like I said, we're gonna have you back. There's so much more to talk about. But
Yeah,
I
we'll
think
see.
that's a wrap on the heart and soul of
Yeah.
this one, which brings us to the mailbag. Mail time.
Mail time.
Mail time.
Damn it.
It's so
I
good every
love
time.
that it's messed up every time.
Every
We'll get
time.
it. We'll get it.
Great. All right, Jason, take us into the mailbag.
First question of the night coming to us from Jackie T. Horns. Just kidding, it's Jake Thorns.
Oh, I was going to say, wait.
I was like, wait.
Jackie Treehorn?
Yeah.
Jackie Treehorn.
Jake Thorns wants to know if anyone has had a spooky experience while alone setting up the prison league. Do we need to call the ghost hunters in?
I had one experience.
Yeah.
Inside
Let's get into it.
I was actually mopping the main room where JPPL is.
JPPL.
JPPL.
Luigi does the JPPL.
And I was there by myself. It was a Saturday. It was like 4:30 or something. It was 3, whatever, sunny out. And I heard in the corner door, it like somebody kicked it 3 times or hit it with a rock. It was just out of nowhere. And I'm in there by myself and I'm locked in. I'm totally safe, totally fine. But it was so shocking. And I immediately ran over to the window and looked and I didn't see anybody, nothing. It was just kind of,
Whoa.
okay.
Phew.
I'll tell you.
Okay. Somebody messed around
Yeah.
with me.
We gotta
When
bring
the
Zach
cell
Baggins
is a
over there.
knocking.
Yeah, the
It was
ghost.
Sean.
Wait,
Yeah.
Ghost Adventures went to the men's side
Correct.
in the hospital wing.
Yes.
And did that whole show, and their whole show is just
They're
they're a
You know,
bunch
we
of
followed
whiny
that up.
bros. Yeah.
We took Bobby
Yeah.
in there.
But yeah, a bunch of us went in there after that, and I will tell you with certainty that you can walk through, and it was dark, almost pitch black. You can walk through that whole place and not feel a thing, but there are certain 10-foot by 10-foot areas that as soon as you walk into like cold water.
Yes.
Really? Yeah.
Or your instant, like I'm getting chills right now, but your demeanor instantly changes. Like you can feel yourself change your attitude, and like you continue to walk and then it's gone, and you walk back to where it was and it comes right back.
And that makes
Like,
me think of like
it's a
stories like
thing.
Amityville Horror.
Yeah,
Like,
it's absolutely a thing.
That's awesome. That, not the sidebar, but it lines up with my belief system because I don't believe in spirits, but I do believe in the physical energy that we leave behind.
Mhm.
And That's insane that like you go into these areas where you physically like your energy changes.
Well,
Yeah, that's
what
awesome.
you hear about places like Auschwitz and, like places where like extreme suffering and that's also goes into on the other side of the scale, the way Sean has talked about Delwood, like there's an energy here. When you get to Delwood, you get that feel.
I will say this, I'm not into the ghosts or any of that. So I haven't had that experience inside the prison, and I've been in all those prisons by myself many times. Back to this feeling of your course. I do feel that when I walk up to the tee pad on the pond shot. It's the weirdest, it's the only spot where
Which one?
I'm
on the new course.
On the new course. There's this, I don't know what it is, the gravitational pull of the gigantic 90-foot rock wall behind me.
Right.
I don't know if
the swans.
maybe the swan that's out there,
Yeah.
Cleo
the
floating
swan.
around. It's kind of a weird thing.
The rock crushing building in the background.
Yeah, it's a really positive
so
space.
serene.
Yeah, it's just really
Yes.
cool.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's just parallel universes, man. I think it's a real thing. Yeah.
I always get a little spooked when I shut off the lights at the end of JPPL and I have to go all the way from that control panel through that room in the dark all the way down the stairs, and then I'm like,
Yeah. You're like in,
You're in like the safest space.
right.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You're locked inside of a maximum
Right.
security prison.
Right.
Yeah. It is
Still
it's a
spooky.
wild-
I just got
Still
scared
sp- oh,
thinking
yeah.
about having to do that.
It's a
Like
thing.
running
I
up the
get
stairs in the
scared easily.
basement, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
All right,
right.
Jason.
All right,
what do you
next
got?
question. David Hansen wants to take a moment to talk about course etiquette. Do you always let people play through if they have a smaller group than you?
There are factors to consider for me. I want to see that they have been waiting at every hole, at least 2 or 3 holes in a row, because if they're a smaller group but they're less experienced, they're going to play slower. So
Right.
just for example, I recently had somebody let a group play through my card, and the group that they let play through had like a little kid on it and like a lady who clearly doesn't play. And it was like, now we just really slowed ourselves down. Like that was
Right.
not, so it's not always the right call, but
Right.
generally I am more than happy to let everybody play through when it makes sense. And if I don't offer it to you, it's because I've assessed the situation and I can see if I were to let you play through, it's going to hinder my day.
I think that's clearly the way to play it. You got to
Yeah.
assess the situation and then
This idea
Totally
of
lost my train of thought.
automatically letting people play through or to automatically reject that idea, that doesn't make sense. You have to look at the factors.
Right.
Well, I've had so much experience with this playing golf.
yes.
that I just have to keep saying it.
I love
Yeah.
it, dude. I love it.
In golf, it's a big deal.
It's a really big deal,
Yeah.
and it depends on the level of course and the skill level. I
Mhm.
think everything changes a little bit, but if you have somebody who's hitting up behind you, which I've had many times, I've
Mhm.
had people hit my bag, driving up to me. I'll take my time.
Sure.
Because they're
Come
not,
on,
because
dude.
their etiquette's bad.
Their etiquette's bad.
Well, and that's
Yeah.
also what I was going to
you
say
know.
is if you can see the group behind you and they are visibly getting annoyed and throwing their arms up like,
Yeah.
like
It's-
you're doing something wrong by not being fast enough to play, then you can wait.
Yeah, you
because
can
that's
wait.
not what
I
this
mean,
game is
yeah.
about.
Oh my God,
Yeah.
I do that when I
Yeah.
drive so much. When
Yeah.
I'm driving and I see an asshole just switching lanes constantly behind me.
Speed
like,
limit time.
Yep. Guess what, buddy?
Yeah.
You're in my world
so,
now.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's
It's
really
45,
easy.
set the cruise at 44.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
like you
done.
said, Alex, when it's appropriate, but you got to be careful because you can let somebody ruin your round. I mean,
Definitely.
really quickly. And if you're paying $80 to play a round of golf, it's like that's the last thing you kind of want. So
Yeah.
I relate that to disc golf. I have had people throw right over us out here.
Yeah, disc
I'm
golfers
like,
are
what are you-
so incredibly impatient. I don't know when they
It's like, what are you
think that they
doing,
signed
man?
up
It's a
to
beautiful
only
day.
Yeah.
like to never be inconvenienced, but it's just like, whoa, just
Yeah,
when you
just-
see someone up there, just settle down.
Sit down and talk to the
Just
people
sit
you're
down
with
and just
hang out
wait
minute.
for a minute, and then we'll finish out. And then if we catch up to you on the next tee, then we'll talk about the playing through thing. But in the meantime, you're only just going to get in front of us and do the same thing.
Exactly.
And what hole are you on to where that even makes sense? Like if I'm on like well into the back 9 and there's a group behind me and they're the same size, you're not playing through.
No, of course not.
I'm not letting you play through
3
because
holes
then
left,
I'm
yeah.
waiting, man. Like, no.
Exactly.
Just sit still. No one,
Absolutely.
so many people, too many people are in a hurry when they're on the disc golf course. I don't know where that happened or if it's just a world thing, but
Yeah.
it's annoying as hell.
Say the quote right now.
What, the Brooks quote?
Yes.
Oh, the world just got itself in a big old hurry.
Yeah.
On the prison episode, I mean, you basically
Yes.
almost
Sorry.
all but said
It
the,
did.
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
quote.
Brooks,
So
rest
we
in
had to do
peace.
that.
Rest in peace.
Next question comes to us from Danny Hansen. Do you guys know? Is he any relation to David Hansen?
They are brothers.
They are brothers?
Yes, they are.
the
Look at
Hansen
that.
brothers?
They will probably both be incarcerated. They have
Excellent.
been, I believe, for the first 2
Great.
years. Yeah.
Yep.
That's awesome. Danny's question is to cart or not to cart? That is the question. Are disc golf carts good for the sport? And why do we see more pros using them? Why do we not see more pros using them? Sorry.
Yeah, that's a weird one. I mean, I think that first and foremost, any reaction from any disc golfer, regardless of status, is going to say, like, does the course warrant that? Is it easier if I go cart or is it easier if I go bag? That's always the first thing.
Sorry. Okay.
I think that most of the time these guys are so used to just having everything kind of like, I don't know, in a bag that to them it just kind of makes more sense. They're just kind of moving. Like, yeah, I really don't know why more pros don't use carts. I think to them it's more work because they want to worry about their game rather than did the axle nut just fall off. Or,
Oh, sure.
you know what I mean?
Well,
or,
it's
one
the
more thing
difference.
to worry about
Yeah,
while
I think
you're
it's the
young.
difference
Yeah.
between
Sure.
like Paul Ulibarri, who's been playing for 20 years. I don't think he uses a cart.
Yeah, because he's been using a bag for so
And it's
long
just his
that
thing.
like
But,
they're
you know,
so
like-
locked into
Yeah, but
using a bag.
Ricky uses a cart all the time.
Yeah.
Relatively newer to the sport, not terribly new, but like I think that's the difference between the two. It was a cool new thing for a while, and everybody hopped on that
Yeah.
train. You did for a while.
That cart
I did.
wagon.
Yeah.
The cart.
When
you know,
right when
cart
they
life.
started to kind of come out, and I was still competing at the time, like 2016, I got a cart and I was using it, and you know it worked. It wasn't the greatest thing to have. Like, you know, I'm playing a casual round with Ryan and Joe and Donnie, and they're all using bags. It almost started to feel like I was fumbling behind using my cart, trying to like get caught up to where they were, because you know using a bag is just it's quicker and
Scoop it up.
One-
throw
just
it
scoop it up and go.
Oh.
But I
So-
do think in tournament play, when there's not always like a place to sit and rest and all that stuff, and when you need that extra like couple of pockets to throw ibuprofen
Yep.
in and maybe a sweatshirt
Boom.
and all that stuff, and you can't do what you need to do in a casual round, you have to have it all with you. A cart is
It's
great to be able to sit down
essential.
and chill out. And
There's
yeah.
been
Now-
many times where I played events and there's been people using carts just to sit, and I'm like, oh, I wish
That's it.
I wish I had that right
Hello.
now.
When I
yeah, there you
first-
go.
Yeah.
I first got a cart and I was so excited to have it that I used it all the time. And I found myself like, it's a pain in the ass to take it out of the car. It's kind of cumbersome when for a single round, the bag is just so much more convenient. And like, the only reason I still have my cart is because there are some tournaments I'm going to go to where I'm going to play 2 rounds in a day. I'm going to need to carry more water than usual.
Weather's
I'm going to need
bad.
extra towels. I'm going to have
Mhm.
more
You
stuff
bet.
to carry. But in general, I haven't used my cart in like a year, if not more. And as we move into this era where we're using more tee times and we're not going to have, back-to-back rounds is not as much of a thing going forward, I don't think. So I'm pretty close to selling my cart. But I mean, on a day-to-day basis, the bag just
Yeah.
is easier.
Mhm.
And it is that too. I mean, how often do you play? I mean, I know guys that are going to like 4 and 5 leagues every week. Their whole disc golf game is inside of their cart, in the back of their car, always.
Yep.
Sure.
You know, like to me, like my bag will go in and out of the shop, and sometimes it's at home and then it's in the van. And for like those dudes that are like going to leagues constantly, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, it's all there. So they just pop it out and it's like their disc golf game on wheels. So it makes total sense, you know?
Yeah. I want to make sure we answer Garb's question. That seemed really good. It was specific to Mark.
What is Mark thinking about when he is making decisions at turning points, and if there are any designers or courses he takes influence from?
Turning points is he's referring to the
Possible.
That was
Possible
one of the
name.
possible names I had, which I still love, but yeah,
Can't use
I probably can't use that. But what am I thinking about?
And are there other designers and design
Well,
things that you're thinking about?
Way back when I was really getting interested in this over that one winter where I was really diving into disc flight and all of that, that's where I discovered John Houck and read everything on his website just out of curiosity, and I had the time. Just because I was like, what's this compared to Balf? Just like how I'm dropping that in.
Don't stop,
Ball.
dude. Don't
Oh.
stop.
Because they relate, and this game's been around 400 years. Disc golf's relatively new compared
Sure.
to that. So
Sure.
the concepts that they have that exist that has to relate compared to all the courses that I've just been playing, and I'm just new into this and excited, and I still am, by the way. So do I think about a designer? No. Do I think about a course? Every single course I've ever played and seen, I constantly think about that in relation to every single individual hole. So everybody that's listening, when I came in today, I showed everybody here some of the drawings that I've done for each hole.
Mhm.
So I lay out each hole in multiple mediums. I do it digitally, and then I do it in on a giant sheet of paper in scale. So that way I can lay out each hole next to each other on my floor in my basement.
He lays out a 700-foot piece of paper in the basement.
I have a really big house. Yeah. But you know, to your question, Garb, yeah, I think about it constantly. First of all, it's the local courses. Is anything even close to this?
Right.
And I'm like, immediately, no. Just the terrain is so different. It's just, you know, which is cool. But
by default, because it is so
which
insane
makes it
out there.
easy.
Yeah,
But you know, but then I go, okay, well, I really like this course. Maple Hill's great, so I've really studied that. I've studied some other courses nobody's heard of. And, you know, Tristan Tanner was here a couple of weeks ago. I talked to him, his favorite course. They're moving the Canadian Open into BC, British Columbia. And he's like, check this course out. Dude is unbelievable. And there's nothing on it. I just can't wait to see a video, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm always looking, you know, it's kind of like the whole picture all at once, I guess.
Right.
That's the way I look at this.
Right.
So it's maybe not specific designers,
It's
but
not specific to
courses.
anything in particular. It's everything that I've ever seen and played and thrown. And, you know, I think of hole 3 here. I think of, you know, those uphill shots. What, you know, then I think of literally instantly. I'll work an hour on the course and take a 10-minute break and just stand there and watch Al throw, and I'll watch Brian throw. I'll watch Steve Barron's throw. And Steve's like, what are you doing? And I'm like, watching everybody throw. And he's like, no, you're not. I'm like, no, I'm really watching everybody throw. I can visualize everybody all at one time throwing. No problem. I have no problem doing that, which is one of the reasons I said, yeah, I can do this. You know, I have no problem visualizing. I can see right through the trees. So, you know, I can't pinpoint my finger on anything in particular. It's kind of everything all thrown in a bucket, and I can like Post-it notes on a wall.
Right.
They're all tied into each other,
like
and I
red
can
string tied
yeah,
to
and I
each
can
one
move them
and-
all around at one time, kind of
cool.
thing. I guess that's kind of where I'm at. I don't know. It's hard to explain.
Well,
Yeah, it is.
I think it's a great
You don't have
answer.
to. That's great.
Yeah, it's a great
yeah,
answer.
Yeah.
My brother sent this in last week. We didn't have time to get to it, but I'm glad we didn't because I really want to hear your take.
Kind
on
of
it.
fits better in this episode
Yeah,
anyway.
it's great.
Yeah.
So the question, I don't have it in front of me. I'd have to go find it, but I know the question was basically, do you think that there's any potential for a private disc golf course with like a country club type atmosphere?
Hopefully,
Is there potential for that to work?
Sure.
Why or why not?
yes, absolutely. Eventually, it's gonna happen. I guarantee it. And I might be the first. I don't know.
Because our guest
I truly
last
don't
week,
know.
actually,
Mhm.
when I mentioned it, he said absolutely not.
Yeah, emphatically no.
He said
Yeah.
no way.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, look at the longevity of, you know, it's still kind of new. I mean, look at how much the sport has grown. Sitting here at the Canyons in Delwood
Well, in
from
5 years.
2014
Right.
to now.
Right.
Look at how many more people are playing. Look at how many more people come into
Yeah.
the store because it's accessible. So I have a hard time saying, no, it'll always be the same.
Right.
I don't think it'll be the same. I think it's going to change. I hope I'm part of that change. Not that I ever want to do anything down that road. I just using my own, you know,
Sure.
my imagination. I've thought about it a million times. It's going to change. Somebody's going to change it. I guarantee you. And you're going to see courses that are going to blow your mind because they're going to have the funding behind it. They're going to have $1 million budget to take care of it and have a place to stay where you can stay overnight. And it's like a hotel experience. Sure, people are going to pay for that.
Yeah.
I would. Absolutely. Who wouldn't?
I think right now, if you started charging $2 to park, $5 to park, whatever, Delwood would be maybe not as busy, but I don't even think you would see a big hit in the traffic. I think people would still be happy. And I think you'd see a lot of players who currently don't come out because of how busy the course is, and they'd rather just go play somewhere that's a little more quick and low key. But if they knew they were going to get the course a little more, a little less traffic and a little bit of a,
it's the experience.
Yeah.
So, you know,
more refined.
right now,
tons of people I think would be happy to pay for it.
Sure.
And I bet if you built a restaurant right out here, that restaurant would do well too.
absolutely.
I mean, like
Absolutely.
The bones of that idea, I think, are here already, and
Sure.
it can be done. I believe it can be done.
So, okay, there's multiple answers to that question. Immediately, no, it's not going to happen immediately. In 20 years, absolutely. You're going to see disc golf experiences happen more and more and more.
Well, that's kind of what's happening with Matt's and
absolutely. That's
right now.
It just came to mind. He's doing is, you have the opportunity to play how many courses? In 1 week, of course, and we have a hotel or a B&B to stay in, and a restaurant, and who the hell wouldn't go? Are you out of your mind? I'm the first one on a plane.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
although we can't fly to Europe right now.
Well, my friends and I are already, we've already been saying, so when are we going?
Right.
It's not even a matter of like,
so
are
there's,
we? It's just
there's your
when.
answer right there. Yes, it is happening. Is it going to happen right here in Lockport, Joliet? I don't know. I have no idea, but eventually, sure, absolutely. You're going to see. It's all about it. It's like anything. It's the experience.
I think it's going to be more.
Experience.
My 2 cents is that something like that is going to be more of a communal thing, like a la Dynamic Discs in Emporia, Kansas, where he's not trying to be the chocolate candy maker. He's working with the company that's already doing that. You get what I'm saying? There's going to be somebody who's going to put all those pieces together. It won't be like a Six Flags disc golf course, but it'll be where you go into that place. Yeah. And there's a restaurant on site, but then there's so many other elements that make that possible it's a communal effort rather than.
No, that makes perfect sense.
I think that's what that will morph into rather.
Beautiful. All right.
We're going to do one last question.
I don't know. I think that feels like a great, really good one. You got another good one?
One last question.
Who's it from? Who's it from?
Jim Clem.
Better be funny.
Okay. It is. It's good. One final question out of the mailbag. Jim Clem wants to know, out of us, which one of us would survive if we really went to prison?
This is a effing awesome question.
Yes.
Which one of us would survive?
Who's gone out in what order? I'm lasting 48 hours tops. I'm a lover, not a fighter.
I thought about this on the way here, okay?
I'd get my throat slit my second day in prison.
I'm going to give my breakdown, then you guys go ahead.
Okay.
I think Sean would end up being the sort of like gang leader of some kind. Like Sean would he would inevitably be like, people would just want to be friends with him or listen to what he has to say. So I think you're pretty safe. Ryan is wise enough to team up with, and has all the skills and right. So like he would be a right-hand man to either Sean or to whoever, a gang leader.
He'd be the Dwight to somebody's Michael.
I think you and I are too like sweet, like too much. Yeah. Like it would be very dangerous for either one of us in jail. So who would actually survive?
I would try to get everybody to get along, and then I would be raped to death. Yeah. Guarantee it.
I feel like I would have to start making like necklaces and shit out of braided toilet paper. Like,
you'd be the guy that people
I'd be the
to.
guy that like, so
you'd be fine.
I'd have to trade. Yeah. I'd have to barter arts and crafts.
I would be very worried for you, and I'd be very worried for myself because I don't know what I would bring to the table. And I also know that like I'm a bigger guy, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to like win fights or whatever. Like, I don't see it going well for me or for you.
Yeah, I wouldn't last.
But I think you two would be fine.
I have the keys, so
he's got the keys to the prison. Yeah,
true. So ultimately, you're the one since you're controlling who comes in and out.
Correct.
You're the one that lasts longest.
Yeah.
Great question, Jim. Thank you.
Great.
Yeah. All right, so that is a wrap on the mailbag for this episode. And do we have anything planned for the trivia portion of the night?
We don't. I've thought about it. We're gonna skip the trivia portion tonight, and then we're gonna end on a banger when we do the season finale.
Sweet.
Hell yeah.
I like it.
Build.
So there is no mother trivia portion of the night. All right.
That's all right. We did it. We did a little different this week.
That's right.
And like I said, hey, we're coming toward the end of the season. It's been a long journey.
Yeah.
It's still like the favorite thing that all of us do, but
we're on mile 24 of our marathon, and we're starting to come to the point where we need to push.
Before we end here, I just want to say thank you guys. It's been really fun and
awesome.
Yeah, I felt like we didn't touch enough.
That's
into
also
the
what
philosophy, and if I could ever have
Jason's
the chance,
touching him right now. Good for you.
Okay.
Any better?
So yeah,
I think the great thing about it
on the process behind
yes,
each holds design and how it relates to golf. I just had to throw that in.
The great thing about it, Mark, I think, is going to
It-
be that there are going to be episodes in the future where you will be telling us more intimate details.
Oh, yeah.
I think it's perfectly Grabavoy for this to just be a taste. Because that's all you've ever really given to the people, and that's totally appropriate.
So thank you guys.
Yeah.
I truly
Thank you.
appreciate it. This was a blast.
Fantastic
Thank you.
guest.
It was a real honor.
Thank you for coming. Yeah.
Real treat.
I was
to
hanging
have
on
you
every word, man. Good job. That was awesome.
So that is a wrap on episode 13, guys. Thank you guys for listening. And, make sure you go do all the things on social media. Hook us up with the likes and the comments and the reviews. We love you all.
We like that stuff.
And until next time, y'all remember to keep it tight.
See ya.
See ya.
107.
On the dial.
Peace. Good night.
See ya.
Listen to Unstable Discourse on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, or right from Buzzsprout.com. And if you have the time, leave us a rating and review. It helps the podcast get to more listeners.
Unstable Discourse is a Top Secret Studios production.